Let's do it. Yeah. It's going well. Yeah, it's going really well. It's brilliant. Excited to be here. Like, really love the stuff you do. Obviously, we know each other from Mythic days and things like that. So it's great to be here and support SFB any way I can. So. Yeah. Off to a great start. No, not me.
Any better? Stu, can you talk now? Just to check.
Yeah, I can talk. Yeah, you can.
There you go. He speaks. Any better,
speak.
Andrew?
It's not just a freeze frame.
Yeah. Cardboard cutout.
Cardboard
get the
cutout.
claim.
I'm not really here.
Andrew, can you hear me now? It'll be a bit of a strange one-way conversation. Sweet. Everything's working. Right, we're good. Hey.
Excellent.
That was a quick fix. Okay, so we're going to be talking about the Kickstarter, the second Kickstarter, as well as I think I was a bit loud there. As well as talking about the online league that we've just finished the first season for, and we're about to launch the second round 2 to match the Kickstarter.
Yep.
Round 2 of the online league, which you have joined, so it's a chance for people to try their pit against you as well. So that'll be good.
It'll be fun.
Yeah, exactly. So it's really exciting times, like you said, with the Kickstarter launching. The new characters, some new rules, which are potentially quite controversial.
Yeah, a couple of rule changes that are pretty interesting.
But we'll certainly talk about those as well. But do you want to just introduce yourself, just so people who don't know you, who you are? And I mean, like you say, we've been at the convention. Absolute hilarious laugh. Not just a really good developer, but a very fun gamer as well, and a good friend.
You're flattering me. Thank you very much. No, it's reciprocated. No, I'm Stu. I worked at Mythic for around a year. I was one of the 2 lead developers along with Josh on Super Fantasy Brawl. Josh, I would say, was probably the lead developer mechanics-wise. Phenomenal mind for those kind of things. Whereas I'm the word monkey. So I invented Fabulosa and just about every background for every character, and the wizards and the cores, the magic and all that stuff. So that's, but developing as well, I'd say it's probably 75-25 both ways. Josh developing and me developing, versus me writing 75 plus. So worked there through the first Kickstarter, and I've wrote 7 of the 9 new champions that are coming in round 2,
which is absolutely brilliant. And we'll definitely be talking about that. There's a delay of about 30 seconds. Seeing your okay, that's fine. There's always a delay when you go stream to YouTube, especially certainly with my computer. So it sounds like we're working fine. It's just there's a 30-second delay.
Cool.
And I think it's definitely been true from a lot of comments on Discord, Facebook, and everything else about the fact that people want to hear about this lore, hear about the background of these characters, because it's so rich, it's so unique, it's so fresh, and it's all ingrained. When you look at it in the final details, it's all ingrained. Each of the champions kind of fit in with some of the others, and then you can really see a world build. And this is like an arena battle game, but with all this backstory with it.
Absolutely. I mean, it comes from my love for Dungeons and Dragons and role-playing games in general. I always say D&D because everyone knows it, and it was my entry. It's everyone's entry, I think. But I've been role-playing games now for 25 years, of which I've been a dungeon master or games master for 22 of them.
It's always the way. Once you start as the games master, you can't go out.
That's it. You're stuck for forever a DM. I never get to play now. So world building is just what I do, and it's something I've always loved doing. And when Super Fantasy Brawl came round, and I got the opportunity to dig my teeth into it, Absolutely. I just kind of ingrained it everywhere I could. The thing I've always said about the character Super Fantasy Brawl is whilst the world of Fabulosa itself is manic and hilarious and nonsensical in a lot of ways, the characters to themselves are consistent and believable to who they are.
Yes.
So you'll get like these crazy wizards with their pulling people through time, and a character called Alchemy who's an alchemical genie and crazy. But then you look at his background, it consistently fits with everything that came before and will come after.
Yeah, exactly.
Hopefully. So
yeah, and
there's this internal consistency on it all.
And like you say, and that comes exactly from getting used to world building and building up that world, and then having each of those jigsaw puzzles fit together as the time frame continues on. So I love that. And I'm not the only one thinking this, because everyone's been shouting out for a lore book, an art book with some of the lore in. I mean, that would be the number one thing that people want as that extra Kickstarter. Now, they're probably not going to be able to do that.
Number two, I'd say better storage option on the big box, I think.
Still gonna...
That's been mentioned once or twice.
Yeah, once or twice. I think we've all got these big white boxes that, well, mine's in the attic. I think most people's are either somewhere
mine's
in
behind
recycling
me
or somewhere storage. But
I'm very, very glad I got the bag.
Oh, the bag is so good. It's so good. I know it's not going to be able to fit all your champions, but to be able to fit all of those 15 champions, statues, cotunes, and everything, and just take it around with you, is so good.
I can't see a time where I'd ever need. I mean, it'd be nice to fit the new ones in, but if I can get 15 into a bag, if I'm taking it somewhere, they're going in a bag, right? Because otherwise, they're on the shelf because they look amazing. The miniatures great. So
exactly. I mean, exactly the same thought. So, talking about the Kickstarter that we've got coming up, well, it's in progress at the moment, where you can buy all of the original stuff, which is quite cool, but as well as some of the new characters that you've mentioned, and you actually designed and wrote the lore for 7 of those 9. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
So who is your favorite?
Yeah, so
who's your favorite
out of the 7?
Out of the 7 that you created.
To write, it was King Alistar.
Right. Yep.
Do
you want to talk about King Alistar's backstory and why you liked to write about him in particular?
Sure. So I loved writing him for 2 reasons. One, I always love writing villains. The more intricate and smart the villain is, the more interesting. The best part of Disney films are the villains, right? I always say one of the greatest underrated villains of all time is Frollo from Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Yep.
He's just phenomenal. So the villains are always the most interesting. And King Alistar is a villain. He's a 100% villain. So it was great writing him. And my favorite character from season 1, you may have heard me mention her name once or twice, Tom, is Darren.
Darren. She's not good, though.
No, well, opinion. And King Alistar has a very intimate connection to Darren, obviously, because King Alistar is Darren's father. So King Alistar was always written as this huge, imposing, powerful, like lord figure, and the race, from the writing is Draconian. So they're born from another Draconian parent and any other race. They can breed with any other race. And the child is always born the race that isn't Draconian. Okay. And then only a very, very small percentage of them, as they grow older, develop Draconian aspects. And as they get older, they get more and more dragon-like in their nature.
Yep. So
King Alistar.
It's quite rare to be a Draconian, effectively.
Absolutely, yeah. They're not a progenitor species. They don't, it is literally less than 1%. It's a very rare occurrence. Sure. So Darren is King Alistar's daughter, and she is the captain, or was rather, captain of the guard, captain of the hunters of the Eastwood, and his most loyal follower until the day she starts developing Draconian aspects. Because the thing about being Draconian is they don't die of old age. No. They just get more and more powerful. They die because of regicide. Inevitably, the offspring goes on to defeat and kill the parent and overtake their role. Yep. That is just through history of Draconian aspects.
Sure.
This inevitably happens. And King Alistar notices Darren's ascension beginning and puts pain to that straight away. So he attempts to kill her on the spot. She manages to escape, and now she leads this rebellion against people, because now she's outside of the castle walls, as it were, and not within the system. She can see the tyranny and the oppression that King Alistar, the Black-Hearted, the Scale Tyrant, is doing to his people, as he's just gaining more and more power, and he's engrossing his kingdom over everyone else's, just to just to gain more and more like power, so he can continue to reign. I think he's over 350, nearly 400 years old at this point. So he is this incredibly ancient and powerful warlord that has risen to rule a kingdom.
Tyrant.
Yeah, he's a tyrant. He's a tyrant, out and out, and it's reflected in his cards. What was really great about him is I got to write so much flavor text for him because his cards are very simple. They're very brutal, but they're very simple. So there's loads of space for flavor text. So I got to write a lot of that.
No, that's awesome. And just going through, as you were talking through his kind of backstory and his character, I was just about to comment about how well Josh reflected that in the cards.
Yes.
The idea of the
fear,
he
did a phenomenal
the fear
job.
mechanic obviously is like the main thing, but having him so much health is because of, I presume, because of his age. And as these companions get older, they effectively become more harder to displace.
Yes, they just become more powerful. Yeah.
And I actually, a little bit of a spoiler towards the end of the episode here, I see that as definitely one of the weekly themes. Revolving around Darren and King Alistar. I think that might well
almost certainly. Yeah, it might almost certainly, yeah.
Superb. Okay, that's fantastic. And you've already kind of said that Darren's your favourite from the original 6. Is that fair to say?
Yes, from the box 6, I'd absolutely say she was my favourite. What's really cool is she wasn't originally in the box 6. Yeah. So the original prototype that we had back in yonder years from Jochen, Darren the Huntress was like a troll hunter and was an additional character. And Kaleez was actually the core set character in that spot. Yeah. But as we were developing them, we thought that Kaleez needed more work and we couldn't get the art style that we wanted originally for Kaleez to work. But we already wanted to kind of put out a base 6 to go to reviewers and things like that. And so looking through the other 6, it was like, okay, which one do we want to put in there? And both me and Josh, because Josh is on the same view as me. We're both like...
Oh, sorry, Stu. Hang on a second, Stu. The connection's just...
So put Darren in there.
Oh, hold on.
And she just has an interesting mechanic. The way she interacts with traps and something doesn't...
I think we're okay again. Sorry, Stu, can you hear me? I don't know if our connection on the Zooms... Uh-oh. Bear with me. Stu, are you there? It's a good freeze frame. I think we might have lost Stu just very briefly. Oh, hang on. There he is.
Oh, I'm back.
Oh, you're back. Excellent. Thank you.
Don't know what happened there. Internet just dropped on me.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. No worries. So, you're saying about the fact that you and Josh were in the same mindset for Darren, and then you kind of went into robot mode. And to be fair, it was an amazing freeze frame that you were left on.
Yeah.
Big gleaming smile, and
I'll be looking forward to it. We just had the same mindset that Darren was the most interesting character model, and we both really loved the character. And she interacted with traps that none of the other champions did. So it's like, okay, well, she did something different to how the other characters like play out. So Darren was our pick, and that's where she ended up in the box set. So.
Superb, excellent. So I've got the Kickstarter page up here at the moment. Oh, you won't be able to see it, obviously. Which is
I'm looking at your gorgeous face, Tom.
So I'll just mention here, and in fact, maybe I'll do an impression of each character, and you have to guess who it is. No, I won't do that.
I would love it.
Yeah, I should have mentioned that, should I? So talking about some of the characters. So starting with the Radiant Authority. So in Radiant Authority, we've got King Alistar, Kaleez, and Cetenal. So these are the three that we. Oh no, Ash is on the chat. We're in trouble. So,
oh dear.
So I think I can block people from the chat. We might give that a go.
There we go. That could help. Yeah.
So you've obviously talked about King Alistar. Now Cetenal was one of the ones that you did not design or develop.
Correct. Yeah.
So obviously
he was a complete surprise to me. Yeah.
And we've got Kaleez as well. And Kaleez, I think Thagor, who's one of the prevalent players in the French league, in the game,
in the French leagues,
on the online game, and he certainly has expressed interest in Kaleez, along with lots of people, because she seems like the true healer I know Arquette's got some healing.
Yes.
I know some people got lifesteal, but she seems like the true support, the true kind of healer.
Yeah.
Is that the idea behind her characters in terms of mechanics?
100%. So me and Josh both kind of went away. We're like, okay, we're going to design the next batch of heroes. Once we've done the original 15, we're like, okay, we're going to plan out, give or take 24 heroes coverage for 2 years or 3 years, depending on the release schedule.
Yep.
So we're like, well, we'll write down hero concepts, and then we'll bring our lists together and we see where we match over. And they're the ones we'll do first because we're both interested in the same thing.
Sure.
So we bring our list together, and the top of Josh's list is the word cleric. On top of my list is the word cleric. So it's like, guess we're working on a cleric first then. So Kaleez absolutely
is great. Cool, is a great cool. And how does her backstory and her kind of story link into that kind of character?
Okay, so she's the high priestess for a cat. The same race, the same species.
My favorite character.
Yes, you've said, and I love him as well. I really enjoyed writing him. So Kaleez is this high priestess. She serves him with this like feverish zeal and sees Aket as the savior of her people.
Okay.
And she was the first one to detect the influence of Sulka. Sulka is the dark, mysterious background in Aket's story that leads to the downfall of his people. And she basically used her own powers to kind of fight back against Sulka. Spoiler to a great effect, but they didn't win. No. Aket's story is quite tragic. If you go through they lost. Sulka wins the end war. But yeah, she was seen as like second only to. The villain wins that one. Yeah, you've got to have these kind of interesting things across the board. Definitely. And yeah, she was seen second only to Aket, despite not being part of the royal family of these phoenix-like warriors, because Aket is a phoenix compared to the Chimerans are all bird people. He is a phoenix. His royal family phoenix. She isn't, but she was still seen as second only to him because she was this blessed by the heavens. Her touch would soothe any illness and cure any wounds. So she, rose her people up to follow the Sky Lord. So she was literally the wind beneath his wings, as it were.
You just got to sing that now, Stu, and then that'll be perfect.
No.
Oh, that's superb. That's and Arcade, like you say, and another one of my favorites, and a real much a fan favorite, is Sulka as well. So it's it's two of my favorite characters and champions just to play, Sulka and Arcade. It's just so nice to have those polar opposites in terms of the lore. Yeah. And to be honest,
the great go on.
I was going to say in their cards.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah. What was really great about Super Fantasy Brawl and working on it and the storyline, I'm not tooting my own horn here, but the idea of traveling through time to pick out the champions, is it meant we didn't need to kind of link all the champions in one story. What we could do is tell unique balls of stories. Okay, so we're linking Aket, we're going to link Kaleez, we're going to link Sulka, and then we don't need to tell anyone else's tale there. That can be their tale. And then we'll link Wrath and Kilgore, and they could have theirs. And then we can link Lorelei and Nevermore and Corvash, and they've got their own to Alistar and Darren, and they're telling their story. So that you can set different pieces. You don't just have different cultures you can play with. You've got time itself to play with. It was really good to be able to do crazy things.
Yeah, and I guess it's limitless, really, because if you can time travel and
it let us do stuff that it let us do stuff that we couldn't normally have done. Kilgore's background, for example, he essentially conquers the world. Yes. His empire stretches the entire world. It's just his desire for battle is so great that he eventually destroys his own people and breaks his own civilization down. That's the fall of his empire. And if they'd been in the same period, you couldn't say, one of them just won.
No, you couldn't. No, you could. Well, you could.
It kind of tears that apart.
Yeah. It wouldn't be very good, but you could write that.
Yeah. And you can exist in the same world, as it were, that King Alistar exists with his 350-year plus reign of terror over his continent. He can't exist if Kilgore conquered everyone. No, well, they can. There's like 600 years between them, so that's totally fine.
Yeah. That's superb. That's superb. And the chat's just talking about that SFB really needs an anime, and I think with all the lore, and all the world building, and the art style. Let's be honest. I couldn't agree more. Comic book, that would be cool.
That'd be cool.
Man, that could be our campaign. Cogs turning. Oh, this is bad. Right, anyway.
It's limitless. I've always thought, and again, maybe it's just the optimist in me, the world of Fabulation, the stories you can tell in it are just limitless.
Yeah.
Like you can just play with that forever.
We got Phantom saying, "Call up Netflix."
Yeah.
Maybe we can make our millions, Stu. There we go. I don't want my role in it is, but I'll take half for doing something.
You're the face man. That's what it is. You're the face man. No one's this plastered everywhere. So.
Okay, so that was Kaleez, and I can't wait to get her on the table and start playing her, especially in that real support role. We've always had Lorelei as certainly a support character, of course, but this Kaleez is really feeling like the support guy. Then we had Cetenal. Now
she enables two. We could definitely move on. Yeah. But she enables two different things. She can jump in on the lighter arm teams and keep them alive. So the Gwayans, the Wraths. And make sure they don't just fall over to any assault. And she enables them to play better. Or she can go with the heavy hitters, your Nevermores, your King Alistars. And then all of a sudden you're like, I really don't have to throw a load of effort at King Alistar for him to just shrug it off next turn.
Oh, God. Her and King Alistar.
So she works with so many. Yeah, she works with so many teams.
Definitely. The third champion of the Radiant Authority is Cetenal, and now when they released his cards, it definitely seemed very strong. For those of us who have played the game a fair amount, seen a lot of manipulation of the champions and the damage that he could deal, as well as every card was like wow. Now
it was relentless, the pace at which what he could do.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, the devs have already said, on the Facebook, on the Discord, that they are already tweaking and they've made changes. But that initial impression when the cards hit the Facebook, he was the most talked about champion, and the Discord was full.
Of course.
For anyone who's not in there, there's a Discord for Super Fantasy Brawl and Mythic Games, and it's a great place to join. Lots of discussion, and it was just relentless. And I would say, I would love to be positive, but it was probably 25%-ish talking about cool model, cool concept, and then 75%, Jesus Christ, how do we stop this guy on the table? He's just going to run the world.
I think you've hit it perfectly there. I think it's like probably one of the most kind of anticipated to please show us the model, please show us the model, please show us the cards.
Yeah.
People will love Tentacles. We've seen on the lives and like you say on Facebook and everything else. People love to see him and want to see him and want to see him played and all the rest of it. But I think it was from the people, the more kind of, I guess, experienced players, should we say, seeing that and going, wow, that's how are we going to, like you say, how are we going to deal with that? Especially if there's two other champions alongside Tentacles, possibly.
And this was the thing. Yeah, well, I say even without a buff, the terrified card of all 8 tentacles, which I think everyone's the first. They saw that card, and it took out. I did the maths with Ash. That it took out. I think 11 out of the 24 champions with no buffs at all on its own as a singular card. And if it had even a single buff, it would take out 23 of the 24 champions. Yeah. That 24th is King Alistar leveled up. So in reality, if you take 48 champions, including the level ups, he got 47 of them in one card.
Yeah.
So there was a level disparity of what he could do.
Yeah.
And then you added in the.
We must mention that was before, as you said, the devs have said that they are.
Yeah, straight the one. Day one, they jumped in and said.
That's definitely one of the cards.
Yeah, I think it's dropped from strength 3 to strength 2 straight away, which definitely brings it into a more feasible place. Yeah. It depends on the support cards around him. Certainly, as a 7-0, it looks like he's trying to be a support character. Yeah. But if he keeps the level of support he's got along with that attack, I still think he's going to be the top end of champions to play.
I mean,
his displacement is insane.
That's what I was going to mention. Is the displacement. The displacement is crazy. Now I know that they've won the rule change. We might as well chuck in this rule change now while we're talking about it. Is obviously with the challenge deck and the setup. Now when I first heard about this rule change, I was quite disappointed and I was quite concerned. I have to be honest because I absolutely love the balance of the game originally. Of the idea that you can have equally, it definitely seems of all the plays I've seen that the action always happens linked to the challenges that are on there. Which is if you're doing an arena battle and the mages are putting forward these challenges, surely that's what the game should drive to. And
it should be driven by it.
Yeah, I love that. I love that aspect of it. And getting that one card at the start just worried me because it's gonna benefit the aggro teams and keep almost take away that pressure to those challenges, because they're going to be coming out quite slow.
It's going to give the aggro teams, it gives the aggro teams an extra turn where they don't have to worry about what's going on. Certainly from turn 2, 3, 4 onwards, they'll have to pay attention to the board, but it'll always be a bit less of attention because those challenges will always be one less.
Yep.
And they can kind of take a whole turn to set up or maul someone in the face. I would need to play it more to know where it sits. I mean, obviously we played it, me and Josh, with 1 challenge rather than 2.
Sure.
But the thing is with characters and with play in a game like SFB is there's always going to be kind of like an external element that we can't predict. Me and Josh, between us, easily played 100, 200 plus games, I would say.
Yep.
But because we've played 200 plus games against each other, our skill levels are very, very similar.
Sure.
So it's hard to internally playtest to go, okay, this person is this much higher than this, or even this much in the case of, say, Suzhou and Korvash, who have in generally across the board have performed higher than we had them perform.
Yes.
But I know how good Josh is. Josh knows how good I is. I know what he's doing before he does, because we've seen each other play a lot. Sure. So once you get cards into the live environment, those things that you thought were like this, actually like that, or even like that.
Yep.
And that happens in all card games, Magic the Gathering, Legend of the Five Rings, which I worked on beforehand. So there's always going to be an element of that you can't predict. I think we did okay on the balance, but there's certainly, I would say 2, maybe 3 characters that if I could go back in time now, I would make tweaks to.
Sure. But and again, this has been talked about on Discord and Facebook as well. Is the idea of, like most organized play kind of games, some form of living rules, some sort of errata, something that can be used for competitive play, organized play, that can do those balance issues. Because effectively, if you're going to be playing it as a casual game, it doesn't matter. You can do house rules. You can obviously you can give certain champions if you feel like they would suit a like the Korvashes, if they would suit a beginner more, and then you take on some of the harder characters to play, and then balance things that way. But certainly in a competitive scene,
100%,
you'll need something.
No, I agree. The for the casual players that are just playing for fun, they'll internally balance themselves to go, oh, we can't take him, he's too strong. For those ones that take that and then go, well, he's really strong, he's ridiculous, they get a bit more serious about it, what's the first thing they're going to do? They're going to check online for errata and find the living rulebook. And then they'll go in their casual environment, well, let's play with these rules then. So it fixes itself. And if you don't care enough to check online about it, then you're probably playing with friends and family in a general soft way. And it doesn't matter if that guy's stronger than everyone else, because you just won't take him.
Yeah, exactly.
But the living rulebook itself, or the living rules, should absolutely exist in a tournament environment. You have to be able to stick your errata out for cards. I don't believe until you do like a new, not necessarily a new season, but I don't believe in reprinting cards straight away.
No.
For those kind of things, because it throws off the casuals because they feel like they don't have the cards that, this isn't work. They've got new stuff out. This is pointless. I don't want to buy that.
Sure.
But certainly for the tournament scene, a living rulebook is essential.
Got a question. Stu, what's your views on the power creep in the new expansions? Now, obviously, we're going through the expansions at the moment, but just in general.
Power creep's a tricky one with the expansions because there's only a couple, Cetenal, obviously, as we talked about, that I would sit there and go, okay, that's a power creep. That's an obvious power creep. How he ends up after the erratas and changes to him, who knows? But he's the person I would have seen and gone, okay, that's a creep. The champions that, at least the 7 that I've worked on, aren't designed to necessarily creep the power, but that's change how the game's played. The core 6, if you look at them, are very, very basic. They don't do a lot with. There's only a couple of them that kind of play with plan at all. I think Kilgore, is the only one with heal. Lifesteal may be on Kilgore as well. Yeah, it's on his appetite for destruction. But there's not a lot of there's not a lot of like the kind of individual champions might touch on a keyword. So there's like a blooded here and there, or like Flash of Jade, appetite with Lifesteal, plan on Darren's scout ahead. And that's kind of it.
And then I guess
the champions that
are with the manipulation effectively of
exactly
of the pulls and push. So
everyone kind of had a little bit of the basic stuff, but no one really focused on it. And then The next that rounded out the 15, some of them were very focused. So Sulka appeared and Force became a much bigger word because of Sulka using that. And you had Swoop all over the place on Ket and Jump on Kolal. And all of a sudden there's these characters that are more focused, but they're still focused on what the core game did.
Sure.
The next wave of champions were always designed, okay, once you've bought that 15, once you've got these kind of base champions in your game, the idea was if you pick those 15 champions, you can put any 3 of them together and it will probably work.
Yep.
At the very least, the 6 in the core box, you can mix and match them to your heart's content. You will get a good team.
Sure.
You just will.
Yep.
For the 15, there's a couple of outliers. You might struggle to put Lorelei or Ket and Sulka in the right teams. Sure. There's the 3, I would say. Yep. But everyone else, you can probably mix and match. The next 7, or 9 as it is now, weren't designed to be that kind of just shuffle them in anywhere. Certainly, you couldn't put alchemy into a team without thinking very carefully about how you want to use him because he's very, very different. You couldn't just put Kaleez in a team and hope that her healing will be enough because she doesn't score well elsewhere and doesn't have a lot of displacement. So you've got to think about how each of the new champions work in creating the team you want. It allows the player who wants, okay, I want to play a controlling team. I want to play a smashing team. I want to play a displacement team. I want to play a scoring team. Well, there's champions that will do that now. And they're really good at doing those things. So there's not so much a power creep, but essentially, if you think of the core as like a tree, this is where your branches start coming off.
Yep. And we're definitely seeing that with the revealing of a lot of the cards, with just with like you say, the planning, but the changes to manipulating your cores. And kind of refreshing cores. That's alchemy, isn't it? That it can.
It is, yeah.
Can basically give your opponent a boost, but then enable you to refresh one of your cores.
Yes, it's a monkey's paw.
Yeah, it's so good. And then you've got. We'll talk about the characters individually as we go through. So let's move on to while we're here. Let's go on to Hot Trick.
Okay. I
think it's cool. Is it Hot Trick? Yep, Hot Trick, which is Lily. Jacques Lebeau and Nikkit. Nikkit. Remember that one. So Lily was the other one that you did not develop and design. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. Okay. Lily is the one I didn't have anything to do with. Love the miniature. Absolutely love the miniature.
I was just about to say.
It's so good.
I saw it in the live, and it is such a good mini. Like you say, I just love. But I love all the minis. To be completely honest, I really like all the new minis. They kind of tie in again to what we're used to with SFB, and they're going to be an absolute joy to paint and have on display.
Yeah, they are.
I cannot wait.
Absolutely.
She's going to be the kind of in and out assassin, it seems, that kind of thing. Where you're going to be able to move in and then have looks like after attack effect moves out effectively. Yeah, for a lot of her movement and attack. Similar
to some of Darren has a couple of things like that, hit and run and things. So that kind of move and move. And Kolal as well.
And Wrath.
Wrath, yeah. She kind of sits into that kind of dash-in character base. Yeah. Seems to be more disruption causing than damage causing. Her reveal of the level up was quite interesting because obviously that was shown today. Her flip side.
Okay. Which is to run through that just because I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, sure. So let me just quickly grab to make sure I've got the right one.
Was that on?
It was on the Facebook, but I have a PDF in front of me as well.
Yeah, so sorry, I wasn't prepared for
that. So Lily's level up is 6 health and 1 armor, right. And she can't be targeted by attacks if she's adjacent to an ally.
Nice.
So there's a couple of interesting questions on that one. Obviously, because you target everyone with AoE attacks.
Yes.
Because she can't be targeted.
Hang on.
Stop the AoE attack.
Stu, I think you're dropping out again.
I would think that it doesn't, but obviously that would be a developer question to be answered.
I think we're back again.
Oh, I'm back.
Are you back again?
I'm back.
There you are. Sorry. Yeah. So with the area of attack, that has to be looked at and decided upon, and how that can work, as it were.
Does it shut off the whole thing or not?
think.
So,
Oh, are you there? You're dropping out again, Stu. I don't know if.
What I'm just going to do is just quick. I'm here. I am. If you give me one moment.
No problem.
There we go. I've just tethered myself to my mobile because it's got 4G data and it's there. So that should fix the internet problem. On my mobile, yeah. It's because I'm in my office in the back room, so okay. Occasionally it drops out on video calls. Yeah, so hopefully that shouldn't be a problem now.
And you're just saying stop using those budget batteries, so you know.
The hamster's tired; it needs to be replaced. Exactly. So
super. Or the kids, I don't know.
Oh, they're asleep. He said asleep.
Making their money's worth. Okay, so we've got Jacques Lebeau next, who is one of the characters that you've. Looks like an awesome character. Do you want to talk a little bit about his back? Now, I've just realised this live stream. Okay, so I hope it's okay with you, Stu. This could go on for quite a while at the rate we're going.
I'll go on forever. I'll talk Super Fantasy Brawl forever. Literally forever.
Listeners will like to hear about all this lore, especially from the lore writer. I mean, that's the key of this one. So, do you want to talk a little bit about Jacques Lebeau and where he came from?
Yeah, so he ties into Goldar's story. So he has a brother. Or Jacques had a brother, rather. They were both raised on these tales of adventures and heroes, and they are basically your stereotypical musketeers. They grow up to be part of the King's Guard, and they're these great musketeer brothers, the best swordsmen in the land. And the king tasked them to bring Goldar to justice. Mm-hmm. So they accept, and they pursue him for years until they finally catch up with his ship, the Grey Robber. And this fierce fight ensures the two of them fighting Goldar on the deck of his ship. And then Jacques has always been jealous of his brother, who is the better swordsman, and takes the opportunity to essentially stab his brother in the back, toss him overboard into the depths of the seas, and pledges loyalty to Goldar instead. And now serves as Goldar's first, or served, because obviously everything happened in the past, serves as Goldar's first mate. So there was only one brother now, they're cast overboard. Intentionally left vague whether or not the brother lived. So he swore allegiance to Goldar, abandoned his former life, and adopted the name, Beautiful Jack, Jack Lebeau, and becomes the fearsome first mate of the Grey Robber. So now, with his brother dead, he is the greatest swordsman in the land and doesn't have to worry about being challenged ever again. So is this kind of jealousy? Who is the better brother? Well, it's me now because the one's in Davy Jones's locker. So
sure. And that leaves a big gap, doesn't it, for maybe a possible future? We'll leave that there. But
it's those bubbles. It's creating those stories, and
exactly.
It's whether you do or you don't. And it obviously now it's up to the new developers whether or not they want to do something with that. Of course. I certainly would have thought to do something at some point. Something that I would definitely say a mentor of mine, Jake Thornton, who I used to work with at Mythic, who used to work at the Games Workshop and wrote many of their army books, said to me is that everything shouldn't be explained.
No,
you shouldn't explain everything. You should tell enough of the story that someone wants to read more, and then will dig to find out more. And if they can't find out more, they'll wait for it. Yeah. People are okay waiting for a good story. Yeah. You look at, and that crosses all mediums. You look at like the Harry Potter books, or the Lord of the Rings films, or the Marvel Cinematic Universe. People will wait for a good story. Yep. They just will.
Yep. And I'll tell you what, they also love a good cliffhanger as well. So,
absolutely.
Having that idea of he stabbed his brother in the back. We know he was the brother was the better swordsman, the better champion.
Yeah.
And it leaves with that being able to time travel, and obviously the chat's talking about the fact surely he could go back in time and pull his brother up before he died. 100%.
Absolutely. And this is the thing: is he dead or is he not? It doesn't matter. Exactly. You can still bring him back if you're a wizard. You can absolutely make that happen.
So
and you get the interesting thing there that if the Mage Fabulosa bring him back, and you've got Jacques Lebeau, as he's remembered in history, as this backstabber who has killed his brother, and his brother would have no idea who that man in the mask is, and would love his brother because it's not happened to him.
Stop.
It's not happened to him.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good. Who is this person fighting me with such vengeance?
And such skill. There's something familiar about their technique. Yeah, exactly. It's so good. It's so good. Imagine that as an anime. Your comic book, flicking through that comic book stage.
Oh, super.
Amazing.
Oh. Anyway.
And his sword techniques is definitely reflected in the cards. Like,
I was going to say.
such movement, is these amazing bursts of speed. And originally was the only champion with 2 reactions. Lily now exists as well.
Yes.
But he was the first and only one at the time that we did it with 2 reactions.
Sure.
And kind of works around this kind of discarding cards and spending dual cores to do extra actions and things.
Sure. Which is really, really, really cool. The fact that you can like you're going to have more reactions in hand, by the nature of having 2, and that extra core. Been really kind of key.
Once he's leveled up, it's phenomenal.
Once he's leveled up, I mean, yes, of course. Once he's leveled up, and just some of the shenanigans he does, as you said, these are advanced characters, so these are changing the game up. They are changing the way that you would play the game normally, and
because there's a great advantage to having that second reaction, but there's a huge disadvantage of opportunity because you're much more likely to, in your turn, have a handful of reactions where you're like, oh, I need to be able to do something other than just react to what they're doing. So you have to think more when you're playing with someone like Shax.
And I think, like you say, certainly with these more advanced characters, it is thinking about a team makeup and what are the 3 and how do they help each other rather than just... you still can, obviously. The whole point of the Super Fantasy Brawl is you can just grab 3 characters and have fun. 100%.
I think I would, if I'd sit there and saw my team with Lily and Jax and anyone else, and I'm there like, do I have 5 reactions now? Oh, no!
Yeah, because we've all been in that place where we've had bad draws, and that would just be... and that would just happen commonly, so that would be really
5 out of your 18 cards you can't play in your own turn. Oh,
and spending your cores as well. You're doing,
and they'd be eating your cores up as well. Yeah, it'd be.
Yeah, it wouldn't be advisable. Let's put it that way. Now
the player who does that has got to have a plan before they do it, right?
yeah, definitely. Then we got Nikkit. Nikkit is the third and final of the hot trick. And I think as soon as people saw this, everyone just fell in love because it's got to be one of the coolest miniatures and coolest ideas. Definitely
3 goblins in a trench coat.
You can think of quite a few films, pop culture films that link to this. Obviously, Gremlins.
Yeah.
I think it was Gremlins 2, Gremlins 1. That scene was from. I can't remember.
I think it's 2. I want to say 2, but the chat can correct me if I'm wrong.
And what I was thinking of was Scrooged. You know, Scrooge.
That's
When death comes in the elevator. That's what I just imagine that being now. So a really, really cool looking character. And do you want to talk a little bit about Nikkit now? About like his story and how the cards and his mechanics tie into that story.
Sure. So Nikkit's an interesting one because it looks like his story may go one of 2 ways. To not say too much, the Facebook story is different than the story that was originally written for him and was commissioned for him. But the discussion is whether or not which way it goes. So I can definitely say how he was envisioned, and then if he's different to that, that's
of course how you
How you write. And everything I say is really subject to change, as I don't have any kind of control over these.
Yeah, we should probably say that because like
asterisk next to everything I'm saying.
Just put an asterisk over your face.
Just right there.
Because it's effectively it's new devs on SFB.
Yeah,
we need to point that out. But it's where SFB originally come from, and all of that lore from yourself, and as you say, from Josh as well. A lot of the mechanics that tie into that, and that's what we're talking about now. So that's a really important point. That it may be slightly different once it gets delivered to our doors and we see it for real. Yeah. Sorry. So carry on with the original.
So originally, Nikkit is interesting because he doesn't have magical powers. Nikkit, this shaman, doesn't have magical powers. These 3 goblin thieves, these little pesky goblins, on escaping from being chased by the guard and kind of fell into a burial mound. They fell almost Batman-esque through the floorboards into this cave, and there's this big tomb. And as they're kind of hiding there, pushing things out the way to hide, there's this body of this Tauran champion in there, and he's got these relics buried with him, these 3 core relic things. So they're like dress themselves up and in this coat and then scare the guards off. Like, oh my God, this guy's risen from the dead. And they kind of flee and they're like, oh, hang on, this works. Yep. And that was essentially the inspiration for the whole character. They take all this stuff, they steal it all, head off into the forest and create Nikkit. That's this great shaman, the Sly, who's this magical force in the forest that torments people unless you pay him tribute and all the villages nearby are like taking their wealth and throwing it into the forest so that Nikkit doesn't come and punish them. It's 3 goblins hiding in a cave in a trench coat.
Yeah.
and all the magic tricks, and you can see it in the art. So the art still reflects the original lore. You can see them like with these casks of explosives because we breathe fire. And this, evil chomping bite. It's just a goblin on a bungee rope.
Yeah.
So they don't have any magical power. It's just all magic. It's just all tricks to convince people they have these powers.
And just the addition of like having the 3 cores on the 3 hands really just adds to that whole idea.
Yeah. They have nothing. They've got relics that they've stolen. So the limits of magical power they have is they have like these relics that can do a thing, but the rest of around it is just like bungee cords and explosives and the hands of bombs and like wire rigs. Their swoop action I always thought of as like that kind of old Chinese film style wire jumping. One of them's there with a rig. And
I like Whily Coyote style,
100%. Yeah, 100%. And it ties right back to us at the beginning, is that they're just nonsensical and they don't make sense, except they kind of do. Like their own little thing works. These goblins who are, and I wanted to establish goblins as this kind of crazed inventor thing, because it's been done across a lot of mediums. And there's a limit, there's a line you kind of go to, okay, we want to do our own thing. This is not like anything else that everyone's doing.
Yep.
But pop culture is a thing and recognizability is a thing. And you don't want to stray completely into the unknown because people will just look at that and go, I just don't get it.
Yep.
And you need them to have that kind of connection. And 3 goblins in a trench coat with a pocket full of bombs and a bungee cord, people can totally visualize that in their mind. And it makes sense. It ties into so many other things about tricksy, naughty little goblins with traps.
Exactly.
So they kind of embrace that and they make sense within their own little world. That it was long after they were dead that people kind of ventured into the forest again because Nikkit stopped getting them, and they find this. I always envision someone one day moving this boulder out of the way of a cave, and there's just like a pile of cloth and 3 dead goblins and a pile of gold.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell happened here?
Or just 3 goblins having a party.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Val Talonheart saying Nikkit is SFB's version of 3 kobolds in a trench coat. I don't know what 3 kobolds in a trench coat is. Is that
it's a Dungeons and Dragons reference.
It's a Dungeons and Dragons. Okay, cool.
Yeah, absolutely. The 3 goblins in a trench coat, 3 kobolds in a trench coat. Rune Terror, for anyone that does League of Legends things, also has a similar thing with their cat people in trench coats pretending to be other people. It's a media that got gremlins. It's been so much pop culture.
Yeah.
Small people. I think it's even like Looney Tunes. You've got like the 3 little pigs stacked up in a big coat, and it's done across the world. Anytime there's one or more groups of small people, you can guarantee at some point they'll be on each other's shoulders with a trench coat.
True. So. Very, very true. And he also asks, Val Talonheart again, he knows that they're all from different timelines, but do any of the races go extinct when their empires fell? Like the Camerons, Tigrans, were they all around at the same time?
Who knows? So I guess it's fair to say the Chimeran people fell. Their empire was destroyed by Sulkar. Were they extinct by that? Well, their royal families are a bunch of phoenixes. It's kind of hard to extinguish that line.
Yep.
So do they still exist?
Yep.
Again, it's mystery. Were they wiped out? Do they still exist?
Just think what a phoenix is, I suppose, and kind of give you a potential answer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Superb. Right, okay, let's move on to the next, the third and final. No, hang on. Yes, the third and final new round 2 content, which was Mental Might, which I love the look of. This one in particular, for myself personally, I love the look of this one. Especially Xin Shen. Really, really looking forward to seeing her getting played on the table. So, with Mental Might, the first character is Isabella. And just it's a great way of inclusion, including someone in a wheelchair, and not only that, someone who's really helping and boosting her allies and giving that kind of making everyone better idea, which is so true in life. If we think about life, with people with disabilities or minorities or whatever it is, when they're celebrated, it's better for everyone. And just to have that in the game is such a good thing. So do you want to talk about Isabella and what her story is and how that came about and how her cards and her mechanics tie in? So Isabella next.
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, you're absolutely right. It was something that me and Josh both wanted to do, and something that's dear to both our hearts is that inclusion. So Isabella definitely from a outside of the game perspective came about because we really wanted to inspire people and show that everything didn't have to be a certain way. And you're right, those kind of walks of life that are celebrated when we're all better when we lift each other up rather than put each other down. I think that's fair to say, especially in this day and age. The more we can do things like that, the better. It doesn't hurt to lift people up, but it definitely can to push them down.
Yep.
So Isabella came about because we wanted to create a champion that said, I'm a good person, I'm a hero. And Isabella's story is that she develops these powers relatively early on and is celebrated as this force of good in the world. She moves and sees the futures of others, though she can't see her own.
Right.
So
okay.
what she does with this is decide to create more good in the world. She can see where a hero would fall or a champion would trip or temptation might be too much. And she spends her life being at those crux moments, at those pinnacle instances and going, you might want to take the left door, or maybe you say no tonight, or you know what, you can defeat that troll, and pushing these little nudges that these people need to go from being heroes to real champions and legend.
Sure.
And that was really important. Yeah. And again, it was just really important to have that kind of power on especially on this type of champion that, she can elevate others to be better than themselves.
Yeah.
And that's what the background was. And her cards absolutely reflect that.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And is she linked to any specific characters or other characters, or
currently
kind of like
no
around everyone sort of thing?
Well, it's an interesting one because again, the developers seem to be pushing her in a potentially different way than that.
Okay.
They are making links towards Mariusz potentially as a relative of hers.
Right.
There wasn't the original story, and if that's the one they want to go, again, it's their game.
Oh, of course.
They can go whichever way they want with that one. So she may very well have. Originally, she was going to be linked to someone, but I can't say more than that.
Sure. No. Of course. But yeah, as we said before, stories and so forth, especially about newer characters, can certainly change, and the way that things go. But yeah, fantastic. Just seems like a really fantastic support character, but she can do a lot of other stuff as well. It's not just the support. She got a crazy good attack.
Almost all the support champions do, because otherwise you'll never level them up. You'll actually find the support champions tend to have the stronger attacks on them comparatively, but they only have one.
But only one, yeah.
So you've got like Lorelei, who has Wrath of Nature, a phenomenally strong attack.
Yep.
But the rest of her attacks doesn't really do a lot more damage other than Wrath of Nature.
They were pretty much, are they exclusive to Red Cores? I think they are, aren't they?
Almost always red cores.
Yep.
It's very, very rare to find a powerful attack on support character that's not red. I couldn't 100% say because I don't know the last two off the top of my head.
No.
But yes, from what we designed, we had a very strict system we set to. So yellow cores were generally support buff cards. There'd be healing. There'd be extra attack, extra defense, extra damage, that kind of thing.
Yep.
Extra movement. Blue cards would have card draw and planning on because it's manipulation.
Yep.
And it all synergized. Creation was created opportunities. Manipulation was manipulating the deck, and destruction was punch people in the face till their eyes bled.
Yep.
So
exactly. Superb. And then we had Zinchen. I just love this character. And her cards. I mean, and I don't know. Do you think part of the reason why, and this is just an opinion, part of the reason why they went down to one challenge card is because a lot of these new champions have got a lot of displacement of enemy characters.
There's a couple of them that have a lot of them, because they were designed to interact more with that deck.
Yeah, and I just feel that if we still had the two challenge cards, some of these characters could literally just win you objectives left, right, and center.
Zinshen in our testing as a dual 2 to cause at the time, 2 chance time, was a scoring machine. She's absolutely a score. She doesn't do a lot of scoring herself, but creating opportunities to score, absolutely. Yes. Stopping you scoring, it's really hard to score a zone if Zinshen's on the table somewhere.
Yeah.
It's the real joy of SFB is that kind of shuffle deck mechanic, because they could move in and you could be like, well, this is easy. I'm just going to displace them. Let me draw my 5 cards. Crap.
Yep.
And see no cards that belong to the kinetic kitty at all. No. And then you're like, well, strong. No, she's not. She's not going to hold a zone. Yeah, she isn't going to hold her own. And I think she definitely isn't. I view her as the new Lorelei.
Sure.
And I really do. In that, Lorelei is one of those champions where she's really good. I'd put a high B's tier. If I had to put her in a tier list, I'd put her in a high B.
Yep.
Once she's leveled up, she's the best level up in the game.
Yep. Oh, God. Oh, wow. Her level up.
Which, as soon as she levels up, you need to take out Lorelei. You need to put her in the ground as quick as you can. And Zinshen's exactly the same. In fact, on the table, she's controlling those zones and she's pushing you out, and she's a pain in the ass, but she's not doing a vast amount. No. You level her up and you're suddenly losing card after card after card to that stun effect. And you're like, well, we need to take her out. She can't exist on the table leveled up. No. So she's the new Lorelei.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. Because you're absolutely right. Lorelei's level up ability before Zinshen, and I think she's topped her for the level up ability now. Because stunning, when she's got so many cards that can just push and pull, is crazy mechanic. It could be.
Do you know how many people dismiss Kilgore's level up? We'll see how that looks now.
Yeah. No, exactly. That's just jumped. Yeah. That's a massive jump.
She'll round a statue, see the troll in front of her, and just cry.
I can't do anything about this.
Oh dear.
Yeah. No, it's gonna be
push him away, which you're gonna need to, otherwise you're gonna bite your head off. So
Val Talonheart says, "You had a hand of cards. I don't see any cards."
I don't see.
That'd be a common conversation, I think.
It absolutely can be. The fear I had, to jump back a little bit and to not dwell on the subject, because the devs already said they're going to change him, was the combination of Zinshen and Cetenal. Because Zinshen could absolutely dismiss all your cards with stun, and then he randomly got rid of cards out of your hand, irrelevant of who they belong to. Well, there's my hand gone. That seems fun.
I just realised, those two.
That was together. It's something we always try to avoid in NPE, which is non-play environment.
Yep, sure.
And Zinshen's level up is right on the edge of that NPE.
Yeah.
But you've got to see her card. She's got to stay on the table.
I mean, she still only has 6 cards, right? So
yeah. You might be attacking someone who doesn't have those cards in hand. Certainly, I played a game with Ash the other day, hit him with the force push maneuver. So I'm like, discard 2 cards. He's like, there's my hand, Stu. I'm like, God damn it.
Actually,
did nothing.
Now you said that when we were doing the alpha play on BGA, she was in that, and that actually happened pretty much most of the time, because you tend not to have like 5 cards or 4 cards of the same champion. It'll tend to be a little bit of a mix, and it was literally just, oh, here's my hand. Oh, then I attack you again, and I move you again. Oh, there's my hand again.
My hand's not changed, just in case you're wondering.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not cheating. I can see that, definitely. I mean, it's definitely strong. Don't get me wrong, it's definitely strong.
In a bubble, if you look at her and you don't consider everything, she looks terrifying. Yes. Like, absolutely overpoweredly terrifying. But then when you consider all the options, you need to have her cards. She needs to be leveled up, and she struggles leveling up. Yes. So she needs to have her cards. She needs to be leveled up. They need to have the cards of the champion you're hitting, and you need to be in a position to make all those 3 things come to life at the same time.
Sure. Yeah, so, it's a lot of factors, which, to be honest, is a lot of the game in this. If you think about Arquette, he's very situational. If you get the right card,
he's got the most situational reaction in the game. Is Arquette's.
Yeah.
There's times there'll be whole games you'll go through and it'll be doing nothing.
Yes.
At the end of the game, you'll be like, I never used that reaction once. Yep. What was the point of that reaction? And the next game, it will respawn him next to an objective you can score and win you the entire game.
Exactly.
And Zinshen's exactly the same. There'll be games where she will do nothing, and other games where you'll go, you'll be there 4-4 each, and you go, bam, bam, bam. They discard all 3 cards of one champion and left with 2 cards for the champion across the arena. And they'll be there like, Womp womp. That'll be it. You'll have just won.
South Face 1. Yeah, that'll be
it.
And what about her? Because that's her mechanics. What about her story?
Yeah. I see. This is an interesting one because I say Alistar is my favorite.
Yep.
He's my favorite now. Xingqian has the potential to be my favorite ever. It really depends on how. It's not on me anymore. This is the interesting thing.
Sure.
I had so many plans. She was my long-term champion of champions. All I'll say. So because her background. Awesome. So she's like potential face of change is Xingqian. All I'll say on her is that she shouldn't exist. Okay. In history, Xingqian shouldn't exist, and it's the Wizards of Fabulos's fault that she does it all. And she is trying to manipulate the world and time itself to get. Let's put this. The one I always say, she's trying to get a coin to land on its edge.
Okay. Yep. She's going for the long haul pass.
She is. She's the only character whose lore was going to be going forward present rather than past. So her story was to be told, not one that had been told.
I got you.
So she had a really, and they have my laws, so they might do something with that because they don't want to mess with that. I'm going to leave. I'm not going to talk too much about the chat.
I think this is the important thing, is because we're talking about new champions now that you originally got the concept for, and what they'll turn out like will be dependent on obviously the current devs and everything else. So
there's certainly an element of excitement of where the story goes because now I hope I'm involved. I think it's fair to say that I've had conversations with Leo and with Mythic and said, if you want me at any point, you just have to let me know. Knock on that door, pick up that phone, and I will keep writing for SFB. I would love to be involved with it going forward. Not even the development side. I just want to write.
No, just the law in the background.
Yeah, that's all I want.
And the interconnecting story webs. Okay, I guess you're going to have to leave it there about Xingqian.
I am going to leave it there. I don't have to, but I'm going to anyway.
Yeah, that's fine. Which leaves us with our final new champion of the 9, which is Alchemy. You've already mentioned about Alchemy before, but a little bit more information about his backstory, and what he's about and how his mechanics tie into that.
Okay, so he's always been a Jinn. A genie, basically. And he was like a magical prodigy. And he had experiments into astrology and divination. And he discovered all the 3 cores of magic before the wizards. So the story, obviously, is that the wizards are the first ones to discover that all magic ties into these 3 cores. Sure. And that allowed them to create true magic. Sure. Alchemy found that out before them, way before them.
We've got a question.
Yep.
What about Nikkit? Did they find the 3 cores before Alchemy?
I'm not sure they can count to 3 to find the 3 cores. It's 1, 2, and the other one. I'm pretty sure how Nikkit counts.
Me, him, and the other one.
And the other one. Me, him, and then not me. But yeah, Alchemy discovered the 3 cores. Sure. But he, kind of blinded by his own curiosity, he delved too deep into how they worked and unable to control that he was almost consumed by them. Sure. The 3 cores power just kind of rushed through him and he was going to be destroyed. There was no way to survive. So desperately, he kind of bound himself to the magic of the 3 cores. Those 3 lamps he kind of carries each have part of his own essence trapped in each one. And he's bound to the cords of magic now. So he is the 3 cores of magic, hence his ability to refresh them.
Sure.
So he bound himself to those cores. He's just magic personified. It can grant wishes of those he finds worthy, but it's very much a monkey's paw because behind the childish smile and the grin and the enjoyment and the obvious relish of the character by the art in the background and how he looks like, inside there's this desperate soul willing to do anything to be free again.
Sure.
If he could find a way to reconnect those elements of his soul that he had to separate to stop him being destroyed, he would do. Yeah. And in fact, that's his wish. Is to, if he wins the Super Brawl, to be, and ironically, he can't grant his own wish.
No, of course. So that's a golden rule.
It's always the golden rule. So he's trapped in the 3 cores of magic. It has kind of been this force throughout time, granting wishes, but they're always monkey paws. By that I mean, for anyone who doesn't get the reference, it's like, sure, you can have this wish. You want peace on earth? Absolutely, granted. There's no sound ever again.
Yes.
That kind of like, oh, you get what you want, kind of.
Not the way you thought.
Not the way you thought, because he's striving for that, trying to find the person that will be able to say the wrong words at the right time for him.
Sure.
And he's like, and I'm out. Because then in theory, he'd be free of the responsibilities, but still be magic personified, which would probably make him the most powerful creature in the world.
Be insane.
So
that is so cool. And that makes me want to play these 3 even more now. After talking about their stories, I mean, they've probably got the best stories of the.
I love them.
I feel
I absolutely love them.
For me, that is.
I would agree. I think the Radiant Authority. I think Alice's is my favorite to write, and he's probably my individual favorite currently.
Sure.
As a full package of 3,
big villain.
That big villain. And certainly ties into my favorite from the original 15 in Darren. As a packs of 3, it's the manipulation set.
Superb. So that was the 9 new champions, but obviously we've had the 15 original champions for a while now, and we played the first season of the online league.
We did.
That just finished.
Yep.
We had 19 players, so it was quite a small league, but it was the first time doing it. And I've collected a lot of data, so I'm gonna go through the data now. I might be able to. No, I won't be able to. I'll just talk you through the data if that's all right.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Excited for this.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have been asking for tier lists and maybe what was happening. Now, big caveat with all this is that this was played with all levels of players. So when I go through what the points were awarded for, bear in mind that some people have really only played one game before or whatever it might have been. So it might have skewed the data, certainly.
Sure.
But I think there was some clear patterns and some clear ideas from this. Now, you got to remember, this is the original rules of Bloodied being... and we'll talk about the Bloody rule first, actually.
Sure, let's talk about the rule. Yeah,
because Bloody was...
I mean, there's really 3 rules changes. There's Blooded, there's the slight change to Fear, and the change to the challenge track.
Yeah, so we talked about the challenge track already. But the Bloodied rule, instead of being damage equal to half health rounded down, it's now just 3 damage, which is a really nice stream.
I hate the rule, if only because I didn't think of it. I really, as soon as I saw it, I was like, God damn, that's so much better than our rule. Oh, I really like that rule. That's so tidy.
Simple. It's so simple.
Certainly because we've got the 1 and the 3 tokens. If you've got that 3 token flipped, you're blooded. I'm like, oh, it's so easy. Why did I not think of that? Made me so sad. It's brilliant. No, I'm 100% a fan of it. I think it's absolutely great. It gives Mariusz a well-needed boost.
Yep.
It gives Suzawa a well-needed drop. And it made someone else the still undisputed King of the Mountain.
Oh yeah, we'll be talking about him very shortly. In a couple of times, and that's a little bit more sneak. I just have another question before we move on to the tier list and so forth. Val Hart asked if you were going to make, if you had any other champion you would want to make, theme or play style wise, what would it be? Who would it be?
Okay, so I don't know if they'll still be used. These 7 were not the only ones that me and Josh made. We had planned champions up until the end of 2022.
Sure. Assuming
it released last year in July.
Yep.
So there was like 18 to 19 more champions that we had. So there's still 12 or 13 left. I will say if they get used or not, I have no idea. But champions that I like the idea of is a champion that interacted with the environment more. So perhaps... how do I say it? A character that would benefit from being next to certain places in the arena, or benefit from the opponents being next to certain places in the arena. So they would use that environment better. Statues, zones, traps, that kind of thing.
So a bit like Darren in terms of her kind of mechanics, but in a more unique way.
Oh, absolutely focused. Every card would probably be something to do with a zone or some scripts. I think my favorite idea I had, and that kind of existed, I'd love to see, is a champion that's their cards are just slightly under par. Like almost all their cards are a bit, not quite as good as everything else.
Yep.
Except every single card has the text, if this champion is leveled up, and it had a bonus on it.
Yep.
So every card would benefit from the champion leveling. And the champion leveling would just have all your cards gain +1 movement or something to that effect.
Sure.
So suddenly all the cards move faster, all the cards hit harder, all the cards do stunning or discarding. And you're like, this huge, you're watching this champion flip from being underpowered to overpowered. But of course, you take them down, they go down again. Yep. So they don't sit on this line. They're like there or they're there.
Yeah.
And that's just a really cool.
That'd be cool. That would be a cool mechanic.
The thing I always said, and the last thing I'll say in regards to it,
yep.
on SFB is it's an exercise in restraint, because it's too easy to say, okay, I want to do this and this and this, and wouldn't it be cool if? Wouldn't it be cool if? Wouldn't it be cool if?
Yeah.
Because then you end up with a character with the range of abilities of other characters could be too powerful. A character that could be too powerful and maybe needed nerfed or something.
Sure. No.
So it's going, okay, I really like core manipulation. So we're going to use alchemy as an example. And then he's going to do things that flip the cores back and forth. And you go, well, he's a genius. So surely he should be able to like grant wishes, or he should be able to like, turn into other animals or turn into different shapes, like in all the different medias you've seen. So that would be cool. But he definitely can't, because he's already doing something.
Yeah, exactly.
So we can't have him do something else. That other thing is great. Let's make a shape-changing druid or something that does those things. So the good champions, certainly from like the core did a bit of everything, and their design is that they'll always do a bit of everything. Yeah. And I think if they ever do a season 2, a whole new core box, 6 new champions, the focus should be on 6 champions that can do a bit of everything. Sure. That should whatever the core box is should always be.
Agreed.
Throw these 6 into your teams, they can do whatever they want.
Well, it's an entry level, isn't it?
Exactly.
It has to be that. But it's still got the room, as we've seen through certainly the French league and the online league, that you can play that up to a high skill cap.
Absolutely, yeah. I still, one of my favorite 3-man teams is still Darren, Goldar, Kilgore. Yeah. Which is straight from the core box, and I'm like, they're good. I won't need anyone else. They're fine. And it's that restraint of going, but the additional characters, I always like to go, okay, so what's the thing? What's the hook? Let's do that. Let's create a character that focuses on rooting enemies. And then if they match with someone with loads of pushing and pulls, all of a sudden those push-pulls do damage because you've now rooted someone in your own turn. That's really cool. Let's focus on like a fear a champion. Let's focus on like a trap champion. Let's focus on an arena champion. And
now you just said that. I've not even thought of that before. Root is for the rest of the player's turn, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that means that if you can send someone onto a root trap and then you subsequently push or pull them, it's just unblockable damage because they cannot move.
Absolutely.
No, I didn't twig that because everyone, pretty much everyone, they push someone onto a trap and it's root, and they go, "Oh no, the worst trap in the game, no damage and stuff like that." No, not necessarily. Especially now we're getting more and more manipulated characters.
Yeah, if you push someone into a root trap with Xinshan, all those pushes are just battering the crap out of them. Like you're just beating them to death.
Then it's the leveled up Xinshan, and then bye.
You're just losing cards as well. Yeah, exactly. And the one of those champions was a root champion, and she was actually my favorite. I would love to see her get made, because those characters go, okay, pin you down with this, and then the character, and intentionally because they're not supposed to do a lot, doesn't have a lot of push or pull themselves.
No,
because they focus on root. Because it wouldn't be cool if they've got to go with other people. Nikkit's actually an amazing. Nikkit's a great example of this because Nikkit's level up it's an amazing level up. You can plan from the discard pile.
Yes.
He doesn't have any plan on any of his cards.
No.
So it's an amazing ability, but he can't use it.
Yes.
So you need other support with him.
Of course, unless you just use the blue
standard blue.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, so you always can get a use out of it, but he doesn't interact with it. But him with Darren or him with Kaleez or with Isabella.
Yep.
Discarding your hand.
Yep.
And then drawing 5. Discarding your hand, draw 5, plan 2, I believe it is, or plan 3. It's one of those two.
Yeah, it was two.
You discard your entire hand. You can then put some of them back on top of your deck.
Yeah.
Like, that's amazing.
It is.
So that's how ideally this should work. You feel, okay, so this guy does this, but much like the 3 course of magic, because everything, again, I try to tie it all with a bow.
Yes.
Everything should connect. The whole game should be, okay, I can see how that works in the world as well as the mechanics.
Sure.
That was always the biggest thing with me, is Josh like, okay, here's his mechanics do, tie it into the world. I'm like, will do. So that's how,
That's so good. And it's such a good. You had such a good combo. And I know you were very good friends as well, obviously, and everything. But the fact that you yourself, Stu, writing the lore, writing the ideas, the characters, and then Josh doing such a great job of relating that to the mechanics of the cards.
He's just got such a good mind for it. It's
easy.
Yeah, he's got such a good mind for it. I put my hands up and say I consider myself a fairly proficient, developer in regards to rules and things. I've done them for, and played card games at a highly competitive level on multiple games. Josh was just phenomenally good at just like that. He can see stuff I couldn't see.
Yeah.
Like I said at the beginning, 200 plus games were very similar skill level.
Sure.
Those first 50 or so games, I wasn't even close. You were whipping my ass.
But I can tell you all about their backstory.
Yeah, I can tell you how they got their asses whipped.
Yeah.
But and again, it wasn't necessarily, and it isn't a comment on me being bad at the game. He was just so good.
Yes.
Josh is just really, and what's really good is Josh elevates other people around him to blow smoke up his ass for a minute. Just
careful.
Absolutely would. I think if someone said to me now, do you want SFB back and you could do it yourself, it would be only if I could get Josh.
Yeah.
Because I'd want him back.
Yeah,
he was just such a talent.
That's so cool. We got Val Tanhart again, just asking about. So, curious question: if someone is rooted and you pull the rooted person, does that? Yes, it does count as damage, unblockable damage instead of the movement, because effectively that's the whole point of pull and push. So that's why that's such a strong mechanic of the pull and pushing, is to cause that undefendable, undefendable damage.
Undefendable because it's defense. Yeah,
exactly. No armor.
Not armor. Defense.
You won't hear that here.
Yeah.
Andrew was just making a comment on the table of results because Marius is down the bottom. Now, a point to make: he was only chosen once for one game in the whole league after all of these picks. So I should put totals down here, but we're talking like I don't know, off the top of my head, about 500-600 picks, and he was chosen once. So obviously it's hard to put things, but this was on the old rules. And I've already talked about in my previous video when I talked about the champions, the fact that Marius has a really important problem, which is the fact that he needs to go down to 3 health to make his cards work and to make his mechanics work. And that makes
puts him in range of any big attack.
Any big attack.
Any big attack.
And unfortunately, his reaction as well doesn't give him any armor. Hey,
nope,
I said
doesn't
it.
protect him.
Oh,
yeah, you did, didn't you? Oh, no. I said yes as well. Well, we've let ourselves down there.
Oh, that's the start.
Under a minute.
It doesn't give him any defense. So that doesn't help him either. So, that's the big problem. And I think, to be honest, with people knowing that was the case, he was just never chosen. Really, in effect. When he was
even
chosen,
from newer players. Yeah, this is the thing. Even with the newer players, if they're playing in the league, they would almost certainly, if it's a new player, look into the game more, right?
Yes.
They'd say, okay, what are people saying? Let me watch some videos. Yes. And every video universally said Marius.
Yeah. Now Alchemy, who's not Alchemy the character, one of the ambassadors, previous ambassadors for Mythic, it was his favorite character, and he swore by him, and he can be good. Don't get me wrong. Like Marius has the ability to do a lot.
Once he has his trigger on, he's got such violent damage. It's so fast and just horrendous amounts of damage. He just flips himself back and forth. And the idea originally was, and he's one of those, the 2-3 that if I could go back, I'd tweak. Because in testing, again, between me and Josh, he was doing that. Certainly because the
Yes.
blooded rule actually rounded the other way.
Yes. Oh, yeah, of course. Originally it was. Yes. Yes.
So it actually works exactly as he's going to do now. He'd have been blooded with 4 wounds.
Sure.
So he'd always kind of bounced between life stealing himself back up to full, then hit him back down because he's in a zone, so you have no choice but to hit him. You activate his cards, he beats you up and heals himself back up again.
Yeah.
He moves to the next zone with that incredible speed he's got. You have to hit him to get him off it. You damage him. He murders you back and levels back up and powers back up again.
Yeah. And not only with the new bloody rule of just 3 damage, does that help him to become his level up? His stalk the prey is now insane.
Yes,
it's now so good. I've always loved that card. It's always been one of my favorite cards out of all the champions, and it's so thematic to what Marius is as well. And I just love that, the fact you can just go anywhere on the board, next to multiple opponents, and then not only get over to that position and how boost get his attack cards going and triggering, but you can also stun them if they're bloodied. And now only have to have 3 damage on them. That's going to happen
exactly. Yeah, it is absolutely. He's got some incredible movement on him with the dashes and so Stalk the Prey. I would say it's a signature card. We always kind of have characters with signature cards, and Stalk the Prey for me is his. Like that ability to just bamf across the arena, stun you as well, so you have less chance of being able to do anything back to him.
Yes.
And if he's blooded when he does it, he then starts ripping you to shreds. You have to move someone over there. You have to hit him.
Yeah.
And he's now got full health because you just beat up the guy that you stalked, and you've hit him, so now he's back down to 4 wounds. So now he's turning around, red eyes.
This is it. This is it. You hit Marius at your own fault.
Yeah, you've got to finish him. If you're going to do it, you've got to finish him. Yeah. And the issue, obviously, previously was, I need to get a strength 3 hit on him. Yeah, I could probably do that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not hard.
No, exactly.
Whereas now, 4 hits, assuming you're playing well with him and you're positioning him in corners and jumping out, basically, like, okay, it's going to take me 2 cards to get there.
Sure.
I could maybe do 4.
Yeah.
If he has a reaction, I don't, and he lives on 1. And even living on 1, he's probably going back up to full health next turn if you have Marius cards in your hands.
If he's upgraded, he is. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And we talk about insane damage, probably going to take out a champion at least. And
yeah,
he's going to level, and like you say, he's going to heal up all to full health.
I
really see him.
There's huge potential for it.
And I was going to say, I think it's really, really, the bloody rule has been really, really thankful to a lot of players because me included love the character, love so much about him. I love the fact he's got that unique play style that works on him being bloodied rather than the usual if they're bloodied. The opponents. I just really love it. I just absolutely love it. So I hope we see a little bit more. But I still wouldn't put him up to the S and A tier. If we're going to
I don't think so.
Yet
I would have to see where he plays. Definitely the change to blooded. I mean, we always put him a good middle of the pack. We always put a good middle of the pack when he's leveled down, when he's leveled up, top end of like the B tier. So we kind of sit top of C to top of B, kind of jumped up there. So we definitely had a space. And against the right champions, it was phenomenal. It was really, really great when someone else would take Gwayan and blast him and he'd live and he'd stalk the prey next to her and rip her little arms off. And then she's just a bloody mess on the floor. And he's, so against the right champions, he's a great counter to other assassins, is what he is. Because if they don't finish the job, he'll rip apart a Gwayan, he'll rip apart a Wrath. He'll absolutely tear him to shreds.
That would be his bread and butter. It'll just be a little snack before he moves on to
and that's where he kind of sat as that kind of anti-assassin character.
Sure.
Great at finishing others, or if someone didn't get the job done on him, make them pay for it. And hopefully, the change to blooded, he moves back into that role and he gets cease play.
Well, without a shadow of a doubt, he's now got a lot stronger and a lot more playable, and I'm sure we're going to see it a lot more. And I'll talk about the second round for the online league. We'll talk about that after we've talked about the tier list from the previous rules. So Marius was at the bottom. Wrath was close behind, and I think generally, I think Wrath is one of those that you've got to play really right to work. He's so squidgy that he tends to be a big target, and because
one of the best reactions in the game.
I agree, and I talked about that on the video. I love it. The fact you can jump any movement outside of your turn is insane.
Is phenomenal.
And just to be able to jump means you can just place anywhere, hit those objectives, and bang.
Mm-hmm.
Just got to keep him alive. That's
the trick. It's keeping him alive.
So he was played 4, and he only won once. Wasn't banned once, obviously, as you would probably imagine from Wrath. Then Gwen was next. I think it's been talked about quite a lot that Gwen's a really great starter character with the amount of damage she can do. And the splash damage on Lightning Strike and Fireball is just insane on so many characters.
Yeah, and you'll often hear new players, Gwen's overpowered. Who gets to play Gwen? She's just so strong. Why is this woman is just unbelievable. She's just ridiculous. She's not balanced at all. This is insane. 5 games later, you're picking Gwen. All right.
Bye-bye.
Time to score myself some points.
Yeah, exactly. So. She's so squidgy. She's so squidgy.
Yeah.
And she got the range, and her level up ability again is great. To be able to, the range just turns insane.
If you can get her leveled up and keep her leveled up, she will just warp games in your favor.
Yes, definitely. So I guess it's no surprise that we saw her pick 9 times, and she only won 3 of the games. Not bad, not bad. But again, we're not talking many stats here. We're not talking about a lot of games, so it's not really a true representation. But again, a really, if you're starting out the game, she's such a fun character to have because she's like, fireball.
She's great because she teaches new players indirect, direct, supporting, after attacks. She's got lots of things where you're like, okay, how do I get the best out of her doing these things? And then indirectly teaches you, how do I protect my champion?
Yes. Exactly.
Because if you don't, she's paced.
Yep.
So
exactly that. Then above Gawain comes Kaleez. Now I have to make a point about Kaleez because the points were awarded. Let me talk about that first of all. The points were awarded for 1 point for being chosen, 2 points for being banned, and 2 points for being in a winning team. So that's how I structured the point system, as it were.
Sure, makes sense.
She was only chosen 11 times. She's never going to score highly. However, if we have a look at her win percentage, she was at 55%, 54.5%. Yeah. That's right at the top end of win.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised when you said Kaleez's name, I'll be honest, because I was like, she's really good.
She is really good.
She was one of Josh's favorite champions. Really good movement, really good range of attacks. Incredible in the arena.
But
and her level up's really violent as well.
It is. And to be honest, I would put myself in this band. I just never really chose Kaleez. And I don't know what it was about her. I don't know. But then I played her quite recently for probably the first time in a lot of months. And I was like, oh my God, she's actually quite insane. The amount she can jump. And then she does all these area effects. She does like what Dugran effectively does as well. Just jumps in the middle of a load of champions, just pushes them all out of the way.
Just blasts them all, out of the way.
She's got so many good cards, and I was like, actually, no, I can understand why. Actually, I think she's going to be chosen a lot more. If you saw a lot more data, she would definitely be picked a lot more, especially in competitive play. So she was next, but as I say, better than it. Now this is going to make you really sad, Stu, because the next character is Darren.
Don't say her name. No.
No, I think Darren's in this position because she is hard to play.
She is
to play well. She was chosen 13 times. She was banned twice, so she's banned a couple of times, which is quite strong for especially where the position was. She only won in 5 of her teams. Giving her 38.5% win bonus, which is win percentage, which is quite low. But I think
not bad. 13 games, banned in 2 of them, won 5 of them. I'll take that. That's not bad.
It's not bad. And again, please note that this is based on the points, which is wholly based on how many times they were picked, which gave them how many times they could win and how much points they get.
Yes, so of course. Yeah.
Very much at a pinch of salt, and it's very much unique to the league. Okay, so do bear that in mind. But yeah, she was taken next. And then I guess if Darren was there, there's absolutely no surprise why Dugran wasn't next. And I think there's a very similar synergy with those two in terms of how to play them and how they're used. 16 times, 1 ban, 8 wins, 50% win rate, which is
sounds about right. Dugran's a powerhouse.
He is.
Dugran's great. I love Dugran.
He's a tank. He's your objective holder. Now, whether the tweak to the I don't know. Again, I'm in the exact same boat as you. I just want to see how this one challenge at setup, how it plays. Once it's been played a lot more, we'll have a better idea. It was just my initial thoughts were really quite
that's it. Being able to move Dugran more or less towards the center and not worry about him not being in the right place, that could really boost him. And he's already good.
Yeah.
So I rate Dugran.
Yeah.
A lot of people think Dugrin isn't top tier, and I absolutely think he is.
I think
Blizzard is a phenomenal action.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's
And
so strong.
He's also got a bit of everything as well. He's literally got a bit of everything. So, and that, that fantastic. Think about the we were talking about Zinshen before. Think about Dugrin's reaction, and then all right, bye bye Zinshen.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Then he blizzards to dead straight through her armor and beats.
Exactly.
So
exactly. So yeah. I'm not surprised to see Darren and Dugrin there, because I know they're core characters, and they certainly are really good, because, as you say, they do a bit of everything, very much introduction characters. But to play them really well, I think they need to be played a certain way.
I think both of them kind of go on this circle where they're really good to start with. They kind of go back out of favor when you play something else. And then when you get better, they come back into favor and you realize, oh, okay, that's how to get the best out of them.
Yeah, so. Definitely. And so I'm just looking at the chat now. Val's talking about he has played Maris before the rule change, that is, a few times, and when he's leveled up, he can certainly command the board, as it were.
Bring the pain.
Definitely bring the pain. Gwen's cool. Gwen, sorry, is cool. But
Gwen.
Gwen, I can never do it. So it can be so tricky with exact ranges, and that's true. I mean,
it is absolutely.
But again, it's all about that's what I love about
and semi-intentional, because they're all supposed to be. You take them. How do I play this character?
Yes.
If you can kind of play all of those 6 characters, you can play SFB.
Exactly.
You just know how it all works now.
Yeah.
So
which is such a lovely part of that core set, and which perhaps people don't know about. All right, after Dugrin came Lorelei with 19 plays, 1 ban and 9 wins. So about 47.4% win ratio.
That tracks.
Which is about right, I would say.
Yeah, I would say so.
I certainly found out in the 3rd place match how brutal Kilgore can be, or people can be against Lorelei. She was just brutalized. I'm
gonna take a guess. It is Nevermore very close
Nevermore,
to Lorelei.
of course, it's Nevermore. It was awesome.
Always together.
Yeah, it was awesome. I actually really enjoyed. I don't think it was that match actually. I think it was in the semi-final. I actually really enjoyed the Nevermore heading over to my deployment area, and then sending Corvash over, doing a big chop, taking out Lorelei and damaging Nevermore to pretty much death, as well as my other champion. But it's always fun and it's thematic.
It's great fun. It's great fun.
It's so fun. After Lorelei comes Arquette, 22 plays, no bans, 9 wins. 41% win ratio. Again, kind of as expected.
Solid. Yeah, solid champion.
Yep. Taze comes next, 27. 1 ban,
I love
12
Taze.
wins. Yeah. 44.4% win ratio, but we know, how solid it is, especially against like the Lorelei's, like the Dugrins.
He's a hitter. He ain't no quitter.
Please tell me that's on this card.
I believe it is on one of his cards. Yeah. Taze only ever speaks in 3rd person about himself.
Yeah.
That is a fact. Is Taze only speaks about Taze as Taze. Because Taze knows how good Taze is. Taze is the best.
Taze knows how good Taze is. Exactly. Okay, then we come to the top 6. So Nevermore's next. 20 plays, 4 bans. So a pretty wise brand character, especially for the amount of times he was played or picked. 13 wins, 65%, the highest win ratio from the teams out of the whole characters.
He's a great character. A lot of people look at some of his cards and dismiss him, bizarrely. I think his Dark Envoy card gets a lot of flack for reasons best known to the people giving it flack. They're like, it's really, really weak. And I'm like, it's the basic blue action with range and damage and more movement tacked on and better play. It's just better than any other blue action. Why? This is great.
I think that's the thing you got to think of is like, what is that standard action like, and how much better is that card to that standard action? If it's immensely better, like you got to remember that the red core standard action is 1 unblockable damage. So is your attack on your red card, is it going to do actually 3 damage to a armored character? A defensive character.
Yeah,
and like you say, it does a bit of everything.
Exactly. I mean, it's like
that's just Dark Envoy.
It's 2 movement instead of 1. It's plan 2 instead of 1. It's got damage on, and it's got a range 2 to 3. I'm like, sure, that card. I think it's great, and that's like I said, that's just Dark Envoy.
Yep.
His Guiding Light is iconically good.
Yes, of course. And is that the one where you place the ally?
Place someone next to you, I'll give them +1 strength.
Oh, so strong. And I love his red attack. I can't remember what the red attack is now.
Grim Harvest.
Grim Harvest that attacks people that have been singled out that aren't near their allies. Absolutely brutal.
Yeah.
And what it does, it puts the fear in players to keep their characters together, which is about
great.
War control. And and you can see why he's...
And the more they're bunched up, the better the Nightmare card is.
Exactly.
So we actually swoop straight over them, cause unblockable damage, and scatter them again. And then beat one up because they're now separated.
Exactly.
So he synergizes with himself. And he's got, I think, one of the best reactions in the game.
Oh, yes. Yes. Yeah. I mean, when we look at, and especially with the new characters, because as you start to go to the more complex characters, they're going to have more and more after effects.
Yeah.
To just cancel them.
Yeah.
Blanket.
It's like, nah, fam.
He doesn't even have to be the target. That's the insane part of it. Just to be too close.
He just needs to be in the thick of it. Yeah. Once he's there, and sure, Big Daddy K, he ignores them with his reaction, but he doesn't need you to be blooded. He's like, am I nearby? Yeah, it's done. Cancel it. Any lasting effects? Cancelled. That focus you played, gone.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. So that was Nevermore. But again, he was only chosen 20 times, and I think that's really important to note, which is way lower than any of the others.
The other top sixes.
Yeah. Solka was next. 32 plays, 3 bans, 11 wins. 34.4% win ratio. So I would argue that Nevermore and Solka probably would switch over in terms of their tier or their.
I would say so. Solka is another one of those upper B's to solid A's.
Yes.
She'll have games where she's absolutely an A tier. She'll have games where no matter what card you discard, it's the wrong champion, and you're forcing them just to wander into somewhere irrelevant. You're like, God damn it, I just want to move that guy onto that trap.
Yes, very situational, very, very situational, but so much fun to play, and I know she's a fan favorite for a lot of people.
And another great reaction as well.
Yes. Oh God, yes, a fantastic reaction. Anything that's got +2 defense is fantastic.
Is great, yeah.
Then we get the top 4, which are literally miles above all the rest from Justice Online League. Remember, so we got Kilgore next, 72 plays, so you can see the jump up from 32. Only one ban, and 37 wins, having a 51.4% win ratio.
I'm surprised at the only one ban. I can only assume it's because one of the other 3 above him got the ban instead.
Yeah,
so
we're gonna talk about where all the bans went in a second.
Yeah,
But
Kilgore is brilliant. He's absolutely on the table.
Yes.
Would I say he's my favorite? I pick him before Darren, so yeah, probably.
I tell you what, he's definitely going to be more in more of my teams, 100%. Having played some really, really awesome French players who played Kilgore pretty much exclusively. He's so good, so.
What's
good.
really great is his signature card isn't his best card.
Yes,
because his signature card is Appetite for Destruction.
Of course, that's what he's known for.
And his best card is his Relentless Assault, where he.
I saw exactly what I would say. Relentless Advance.
Yeah. Relentless Advance.
Yeah, it's
the force and replace yourself with move into their spots. There's so much movement on it, and forcing them out of a zone, probably onto a trap. It's his best card.
Yeah, I remember I played one game in the league, and we both had Kilgore, and basically, I think I might have had Lorelei, so I was managing to recycle cards quite a lot, and I don't know, my opponent I think had Goldar and managed to draw cards and so forth. Yeah, we were basically doing Relentless Advance, because we're trying to get this objective, and it was just over and over and over and over.
Yeah,
it was brilliant. It was so much fun, and then he ends with some attacks or whatever it might be. But yeah, leave people adjacent. Don't get me wrong.
People do that once.
Yeah,
new players leave themselves adjacent to Kilgore once.
Well, you say new players.
They do it afterwards by accident or because they don't have a choice. Yeah. But they get caught out by it once, and then you never forget it, right?
Yeah. Well, you shouldn't. But I'm pretty.
Yeah, if you do, there's a problem there.
I'm pretty sure in the third game match I played, I did do that a couple of times, and I thought.
I'm laughing with you, not at you. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly. I would as well. So in third place was Goldar. Probably no surprise. 77, so very, very close to Kilgore. Kilgore and Goldar were the most picked by far. 9 bans, so banned a lot more than Kilgore. 40 wins, 51.9%. Very, very similar to Kilgore in terms of stats. Very similar.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because they would tend to be taken together.
Yeah. I mean, as I said, my fave team is Darien, Kilgore, Goldar.
Yeah.
They can do everything. They have the ability to. All of them can displace you. All of them can hit you hard. All of them can, or 2 of them can hold zones. Darien, if she's leveled up, can kind of hold zones.
Yeah. Well, you're pushing it there.
But Kilgore and Goldar are just absolute tabletop-wise best mates. If you can get them both in the same team at the same time, your opponent's going to really have a hard time with it.
Yeah. And to be honest, if I'm talking about like the teams that won most of the games, and certainly in the finals, the knockout finals, it was Goldar, Kilgore, and Corvash, pretty much exclusive. Which brings me to the second highest.
Corvash.
It's Corvash with 47 chosen, and the reason why it's not more is because it was 50 times banned. Which is, we're kind of expected. 29 times 1 with a 61.7% win ratio. It was quite obvious to see that if you got Corvash in your team, you're looking at pretty strong with this. Now you've got
a good chance of winning. Yeah,
and this is old rules. Remember, this is old rules. So this is the level down to be bloodied. So that didn't help him. But obviously he had so many cards, so many plays. It was ridiculous. Only trumped by the one and only Shuzhou, who was at the top with 46 chosen, 61 bans, and a 24 win with a 52.2% win ratio.
They were both taken in every team of 5, I assume. And as your opponent, you had to choose which one of those 2 you don't want to fight.
Exactly. That's the way that it went through. And when we talk about kind of OP characters, we talk about it in the sense of what would happen in the league, and we can definitely see that Shuzhou and Corvash were the OP champions at this time for this, and Marius was the underdog, the one that was by far the least. So not surprising to see this. Now, as you mentioned, with the new bloodied rule, Shuzhou has been nerfed, especially with his Flash of Jade, of course. That's what we're talking about.
And that's the iconic ability, right?
Massive.
Because Flash of Jade is just terrifying because it's anywhere between generally 3 to 9 damage that you couldn't stop.
Yes.
It's just phenomenal. The change is going to help that massively. It's still 3 to 9 damage, I guess.
It's still really strong.
Still super strong. But against the right champions, exactly. And you can't stop it. But it's no longer going to be taking 4 damage off of the Goldars of the world. It's no longer going to be taking 5 damage off of a leveled up Alistar. Exactly. I would worry for Suzhou Taze, exactly. I would worry for Suzhou's life if he jumped next to Taze and blooded him now.
Yes, exactly.
Because Taze is just going to kind of wipe himself down and go, well, that hurt, but now let me rip your arms off. Because there's a good chance, because previously, depending on the champion, there's a really good chance Suzhou not only flash the Jades, but can potentially finish you.
Yes.
If not this turn, next turn.
Yes.
Whereas now, against the wrong team, he's going to jump in and get his head kicked in.
Yes.
Because he won't be able to have because Flash almost always with Flash, you'd jump in, you'd hit a team so hard, and then you'd be so far away from the rest of your team because it'd be your entire turn getting Suzhou in that position.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
And then your next turn is pick on those weak champions and try and get Suzhou out. If you can, he probably can't get out because he used all his cards. So he probably got taken out. But you'd lose 1 point for the Suzhou. I'd be interested to see how many people got Suzhou knocked out within round 3. I reckon a vast amount of them.
Yeah.
Because he's left on his own.
Yeah.
But he did so much damage, you'd score 2 or 3 points back.
Yeah.
And against the right team, he won't do that now.
No, exactly. I mean, now he's still got the same health, so he's still got a huge amount of health. Which really does help him. And,
it does.
There's been a lot of people saying about potentially, perhaps he should have had not quite as much health. Is he one of the champions that you talked about before that you may have liked and tweaked if we go back?
An 8.
Yeah.
I think that, and honestly, the Flash of Jade change based on the blooded change, because obviously when we tested him, it rounded the other way again. So Flash wasn't as deadly as it is now most of the time. With that change, 8 health, I wouldn't change any of these cards. I think the rest of them fine.
Yeah, definitely. Now, don't get me wrong, with the new bloody
still
rule,
tier 1.
100%, 100%, and with the new bloody rule, Watch out, Lorelei. Watch out, Jinsu.
Yeah, I think if I was Lorelei, I'd have palpitations if Suzanne's on the table.
1 health left. So that's how the stats kind of came up. Then I just chucked them into a kind of tier list, as it were, which was S tier was Shuzan Corvash, probably no surprise there, based on those. Goldar Kilgore in A tier, Solka Nevermore and Taze in B, Arquette, Lorelei, Dugran in C. Sorry, Darren, Kalel, and Gwaine in D. This is where it's not right because there's not enough data.
No. In what world do you look at Kalel and go, solid D? To be fair, Darren, I've been doing those radar charts on the Facebook.
Yes.
And I've given them to the Mythic guys because they're going to use them elsewhere as well. Because based on my old opinion and stuff. And I rate it score-wise because like everyone scores in their positions.
Yep.
Darren scored the same as Suzal. They both had 29 points. There was only one person who was higher, which was Tentacles pre-nerf because they're the cards I saw. But Darren, I rated as high as Suzal. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that she caused the same amount of damage in a game as Suzal, but her ability to score with that reaction, her ability to deal damage with heavy shots, her ability to manipulate the ball with a plan, I absolutely rate her in the same. I think she's like a high B, if not an A tier character, if used right. The problem is she's so much harder to use right than Kilgore, than Goldar.
Sure. Yeah. No, we totally understand.
And I think hopefully I'd like to see with more games played, I would certainly expect Darren and Kolel to both jump to the B/A tier.
Yes. Yeah. No, this is the thing. And that is something to really point out is that we're talking about so little plays and little data, and they weren't played in the knockout finals. I think Kalel might have done a couple of times, but I don't think I could be wrong here, but I don't think Darren was chosen once. So when you talk about the group stage, when you're literally just playing all the games, no matter what the level was, then it does skew the data, of course. But I thought let's collect the data, see what it says.
For sure, I mean, it still gives us an idea, at the very least, of how often people are playing it, because it reflects differently. Because sure, we can sit here and math-wise, Darren is great, but she's still not being chosen enough for some reason. So while she may be really great, what it is saying is she's really, really strong champion, but really hard to play.
Yes.
And Kolel, really strong champion. You've got to know how to get the most out of her movement.
Yes.
Marius, dear God, thank God for the bloody change. It's not always just how well they did in a fight. No. Their scores are going to reflect how often they're taken. Goldar is very, very easy to play. I think he's probably the easiest champion to play in the game. You can just play his cards blind off the top of your deck, and you'll probably still get good actions out of him. So,
blind play, I like that.
Just blind play your card. Just shuffle your Goldar deck and just play them top down. You can solo play Goldar with that one. That's the solo game you've been after. Just shuffle 3 Goldar decks together and just top deck Goldar, and you'll be fine. So,
Clint, hey Clint, how's it going? Clint is asking, he's really looking forward to some additional maps and possible terrain interactions. So I know you talked about the terrain interactions possibilities, but again, it's out of your hands. If we're being honest,
it's absolutely out of my hands.
So we'll have to see how it goes.
Sure, I would love to see new maps. I wouldn't like to see a new arena layout at all in season 1.
No, not in season 1. No,
not round 1, not round 2. Nothing else. I would want to see, because if it's going to be a competitive game, and I think the life of the game will come from competitive play. Yes. If it's going to continue on and see more champions, competitive is going to drive that. Yep. And I think you've got to have the same layout for that season for people to play. Yep. Would I love to see new designs of the map of the arena? Absolutely. I always wanted to see Goldar's ship, the Grave Robber, as an arena.
Of course.
I wanted to see Zuzal's. Yeah, exactly. They exist.
And these mages want for nothing. There's no reason why they cannot just magic up a scene for the arena.
Yeah, exactly. So I would love to see that. Season 2, change the arena. Sure, if they can redesign a balanced arena, I'd love to see it. What? New trap types.
Yep.
Brilliant. Let's put some stuff in there. I'd absolutely love to see new stuff. Because then what you get is a really cool dynamic where You have the current season play that uses this map and these traps, and then a legacy environment kind of evolves behind it, where you're like, okay, we're going to use this combination of traps, or we're going to use one of these two arenas. So then you open up a secondary tournament scene of open play compared to league play, and then that always is going to help people. It's always going to push the environment further.
And I want to talk about we will do in a minute. I want to talk about potentials of using new maps and stuff, and what other games do as well. One thing Val says, one thing I don't know that some people realise is Arquette can do some troll stuff with that one card where he grabs any ally and foe. He can drop someone on the trap. Imagine Dugrin hits 3. Oh god, yeah. I mean, Arquette's Take Flight is one of his strongest cards by far, because
it's his signature card.
It's his signature card. It's not just your allies, it's enemies as well. I mean, it's huge. It's massive. It's an absolute control objective control card. It's huge.
Yeah, no, it's a phenomenal card.
Excellent. So that's enough about the league that was passed, so season 1. So moving on to League 2, so round 2, of the online league, which is currently being registered at the moment. You've got until Saturday if you want to. I'll put a link in the description of how to get onto the Discord channel, and then you can just go to enrollment from there. So to go back to that, what Clint asked about the additional maps. Now, what some games do is they do specific thematic tournament play. So if they've got an organised tournament, you could release a specific map, a different type of map for that, and then you can play on that. Now, that won't change the core rules, and like you say, and the normal organised play, and tournaments to go to regionals and all that stuff, which I really hope the game goes through. But if you wanted to do kind of themed tournaments in local game stores, that could certainly be something that could happen.
I agree,
and something that we could see, which brings us very smoothly onto the round 2. And I had a thought. It was originally going to just be like the same as round 1, season 1, where you just play the normal rules. You got the pool of champions. You do the competitive draft, and then you play group stages where you'll do round robins, and then that will go the top half, I guess, of the players will go through to the knockout stages, and then it'll follow through the same. But then I was listening to Covenant Cast. I don't know if you know Covenant Cast. They do a lot of card game playthroughs and reviews. They've got their own store and everything else. And they were talking about organised play and living card games, and how the competitive element of living card games is kind of dying away, and can it survive, and things like that. And they talked about the fact of it depends on how they release new content. And I think they were talking about Legends of the Five Rings.
Five Rings. Yeah. Very hard. Played that for years.
Right.
Was part of the play. Was part of the 19 when it was with the season. Was part of the playtest. It moved to. Yes, it is the competitive I play longest.
And what they were talking about on the show, or on their podcast anyway, was that they just released tons of content every month, which meant that you couldn't really play with it at the same time, and then you suddenly got lost. As like a few months down the road.
I played about 2 years ago. One that played so long.
Oh, Stu, sorry. I don't know if you can hear me. You are cutting out again.
Hear you? Am I back?
No.
Hello?
Oh.
Nope, still.
Yeah, you're very jiggery. Yeah, exactly.
Am I back now?
No, not really. Well, we certainly can't hear you.
Really? Okay.
Do you want to try going off and coming back on again? Would you mind?
Yeah.
I think I might have to accept.
Better? Yay? No?
Yes, that's
I'm back.
Yes, that sounds better.
There we go.
Go on, go ahead.
Cool.
Sorry about that.
It's fine. Again, connection, office, many issues.
Yeah.
No, I was saying I stopped playing L5R, Legends of Five Rings, about 2 years ago. I couldn't keep up with that pace. The LCG pace was too aggressive. I didn't get time to play decks to the way I would like to play them. So and it was one of the biggest, not regrets, but hardest decisions I had to make, that I didn't want to be investing that much in so much of an avalanche of content that stopped me building decks to play. So
sure. And what they went on to say basically was what they would prefer to have seen is that you release less content, less new content, or more content less regularly, and then you just have thematic, story-driven stuff. So then they went on to talk about Game of Thrones, the living card game.
Yeah.
And they said you could have like a Lannister event, effectively, or you boost all soldier cards. So anyone with a soldier icon, and you can tie that all into a battle. So this is a battling war, and then you could go to all espionage. I don't know. I haven't played the game, so I can't remember exactly what the term was. But then you're kind of like your back characters, the ones who do all the espionage and all the policy can do it. And I thought that's a really clever idea. And
it's smart, isn't it? It's good.
So I thought I'm in a real bad situation here because the original plan was to ban Corvash for good. He's just 2-pack with a new bloody rule. What the community spoken, they want to play with the new rules, so the bloody rule and the one challenge deck. And to be fair,
those two combined,
I've come around to that, so that's fine.
Sure.
But the bloody rule just makes Corvash even stronger than what he was in round 1.
Yeah. And now he has an entire round where he's ignoring Japsuits as well. Yeah, he's. So tier S plus.
Yeah, S plus. To forget about it. So all I thought was all that's going to do is that everyone's going to take Corvash into their team, and it will just be an auto ban. So what's the point of a competitive draft? So then I thought, why don't I do? Because I thought I approached you. I'm sure he won't mind because he loves the lore so much. I approached you. And I think of some kind of theme around each week. So each week of the group stage will be a theme, and with that will be a specific pool of champions. And not only that, there'll be kind of tweaks to that theme. Now, Stu's very kindly gonna basically write the idea of the week's lore or story, if you like. He's also really helping out with the presentation of that. So I'm going to reveal for the first time, world exclusive. For 6 people.
Exclusive.
The poster for the online league round 2, the first week, which is still going to start on this Sunday, March the 14th. So for people to join the online league 2, round 2, you still can. I will, as I say, I'll put the description of the in the description the Discord link where you can go in, join up, completely free. I must point that out now. I'm also going to tie in the characters to what will be available on Board Game Arena, because that was very mixed in terms of, I was always going to do it on Tabletopia because we didn't really know what the state of BGA would be, but it sounds like by the time we come to the 14th, we're going to have the characters needed to do this first week. And then as we start to get more characters added on as the timeline that Mythic gave us, we should be able to hit either Tabletopia or Board Game Arena. Now, I'm sure other people will be too that want to play the new characters. So there will be times, because I don't know if they're going to support Tabletopia with the new champions. Certainly not in the near future. So it's
not been announced.
No. So 1 week might be that we just go on BGA and we do like new champions only sort of thing. Just to mix it up and see how it goes. But it will all be steeped in some kind of lore. Now, obviously, Stu, you didn't do 2 of the champions, so when we come to talk about those, we can maybe make up some fluff, right? To
figure something out. We can just let them be part of the pool, but I don't need to write about those ones, right?
Exactly. So for the first week, I thought, what's better to introduce new players as well as kind of help those more experienced.
Because this is what you want to introduce new players to, right?
Yeah.
Let's get him out of the way. Is that what the plan?
Yeah, pretty much. Because of his added bonuses with the new bloody rule, let's use him as this ultra powerful champion. Say it how it is. So it's Rise of the Scornblade, and actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass it over to you to talk about Corvash's backstory, if that's all right. Just so the listeners, if they don't know, they get a bit more information about Corvash himself.
Yeah, absolutely. So Corvash wasn't anything special. He was just an orc. No, it's just an orc who found this old tomb in like these ancient mounds and recesses of the mountains where he came from. And then within this tomb, there's this dark blade bound in chains, seeped in blood, red, crusted like death and this aura of malice. And as soon as he grasped the hilt of this blade, his mind's consumed with the dark visions, like promises of a world on fire, all his enemies kneeling before him, a desire to make his dreams a reality.
Sure.
So he submitted to the presence of the sword, and he became a willing symbiotic presence originally to the sword. He would wield Scornblade as the sword announced its name to him, this demon trapped within the sword, and he would be, they would rise to power. And the blade in his hand, he'd led on this bloody conquest of the Hills Glade. Every victory, his confidence grew more and more, as did Scornblade's power and hold over Corvash. So this first week is Corvash submissive, the height of his power when Scorn has made Corvash the weapon now.
Sure.
Corvash is nothing more than a living vessel for the terrible powers within the blade.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. And that's what you said here. In time, the orc Corvash fully succumbed to the insatiable hunger of the Scornblade, giving himself completely to the bloodlust of the demon trapped within. His free will, long gone, he was the weapon now. Awesome. So, self-proclaimed wizard Siddons and the Ox, me, challenge you to take advantage of Corvash at the peak of his power, which is what basically he is at now with this.
He is right now until they do anything to him. Right now,
exactly,
he's the strongest he's ever going to be.
Yeah, exactly. Right, this is it. Combining his fearsome rage with the most dangerous champion of all time. Deadly melee monsters and fearsome range warriors are plucked from the time stream to create the most vicious, bloodied brawls that have ever been since inside the magical square garden arena. Love it. So this is all about damage, aggro. But how you go about that can be different ways. So the champions, the team consists of 3 champions as per normal, drafted using the competitive drafts rules from the rulebook as normal from the pool of champions listed below, except you have to have any mandatory champions for that week. Draft pool week 1 is, of course, Corvash. So being mandatory means he must be one of your 3, and he is not allowed to be banned, which leaves you to be drafting from either Kilgore, Gwaine, Wrath, Marius, or Darren. And hopefully we're going to see a few Mariuses here with the new
I think we might.
Boost.
I would be surprised if we didn't. Yeah.
And the whole point of doing this kind of selective pool of champions was to give it less choice for new beginners, because we have got quite a few beginners who are playing some of their first games in the league, which is so good.
And analysis paralysis is a thing.
It
absolutely is.
And rather than putting pressure on people to come to the Sunday before the week to decide on a team of 5 champions from which will be a bigger pool than 15, obviously going up to 24 potentially towards the end of the group stage. Rather than doing that, give it a little bit more less choice, and more theme around a particular idea. Now, obviously, the reason why I'm doing this, and we've already talked about the fact of changing the arena would be a bad thing for competitive play. Now, I wouldn't want to see this for a proper official competitive tournament, obviously.
Yeah, for sure.
But this is not what the online league's for. The online league is to play the game while we can't in real life, get to meet people in the community, and just keep the game going and meet new people and get the community growing. And that's certainly happened with League One. We had 19 players. I think we've currently got 25 or 26 players enrolled for Season 2. Maybe from the announcement of this, I'm going to be announcing this on Facebook and Discord, we might get a few more jumping in, and then we'll just take it from there. But that's one part. But the other part is, for the more experienced players, it constrains them to have to choose from a different group than they perhaps will, and stops that.
Absolutely.
I'm going to choose these 5 champions every single game because I know they're really strong. It felt like it was the right thing to do. I put it out there as a vote on the Discord community that we're already on for League 2, and it was about a 4-to-1 ratio in terms of to do this. So I would call that an overwhelming majority. So I agree. I took the call and just said, you know what, sod it. I'm going to do it anyway.
I think it's a great idea. And I think what's really good is you might see different faces in different weeks now, because you might get someone who really excels in the scoring zones mentality. It's really good at figuring out the angles and the plays, and just doesn't not get, but it isn't their wheelhouse creating bloodthirsty teams of monstrous death. And vice versa. So I think it'd be really cool to give other, the more experienced players who perhaps have a certain focus, that switch as well.
Yes, yes.
So I think it should be really good.
Yes, yeah. So it should really run to a really good thing. And then we're going to see week 1 just loads of Corvashes.
Your stats at the end of season 2 are pointless because you're just taking Corvash in every arena now. So.
Yeah.
Turns out he was chose a lot. So.
Surprise, surprise. Now, it won't be that, I promise you. It's not all going to be based on Corvash. I'll point that out straight away. I don't think Stu would let me do that anyway. But I noticed that you haven't TM'd Magical Square Garden based on Madden Square Garden, as Val was just saying. But yeah, Clint, he is a beast. He's such a beast. A whirlwind of death. That is certainly true, and sometimes of his allies. I mean, that's certainly a play. It's a fun play.
I think we'll see it. I
definitely do. I definitely do.
I do it. So
and I would do.
I'm looking forward to it
with more than one of my allies as well, just for the sheer fun of it.
I've scored 3 and 2. Yeah, I've scored 3 points and lost 2 points. That's happened.
So that's going to be happening starting on Sunday the 14th. I'm gonna put a lot more details up on over the weekend, including we're going to be using tournament again just to log the scores and everything. And the format is all up there on Discord. So very similar to the FIFA World Cup finals is exactly what it will do. So group stages, small groups. So I'm planning on only 4 players per a group. You're going to be playing each player twice, so round robin twice. Give you 6 games and a home and away situation, which basically is like first player, second player. Okay. Yeah. So that'll be. I guess I'll do a little bit like the the ping pong pools, but. To see who will be like top player. And I also asked if you do go onto the enrollment, which is Google form, it'll ask for what's your level of play in terms of 3 players. Are you a beginner, are you intermediate, or are you advanced? Have you not played it hardly at all or never? Beginner. Have you played it a few times but not really competitively? Intermediate. Have you played it in competitive reasons? Then you're advanced. Okay, so
I put beginner. Should I have not done that? Not?
Yeah, I know you are, Stu. That ain't gonna work.
Beginner, never played on Tabletopia. That counts, right?
Yeah,
that's what you meant by beginner.
Yeah, good try. But what that'll help me do is obviously set up these teams of 4 players. They need to have a mix of
for sure. Agreed.
But effectively, what will happen is half of the players will go round through to the knockout rounds, and that's the point. I want as many people to be playing as many things as possible, as many games.
Absolutely.
As possible. And then because it's nothing official, and I'm not minted. I'm not a board game company or anything. There's no monetary winning prizes, so I do have to explicitly say that. However, I will be doing, and I'm not going to say these are the best in the world. I'm no professional artist, but I will be doing some unique custom digital art pieces based on SFB, and they'll be awarded to the top 3. Now they might go, actually, I'd rather not have that, and then it'll be the top 4.
I choose no. No, I mean I'm excited to see what we get.
But yeah, that's basically it, and then it's basically the way of trying to defend your champion. Fortunately, Bloody Ben, who was the crown champion of League One, is coming back to defend his title for round 2, which is fantastic news. And that's kind of what we want. It's just a bit of fun, and that is generally what it is. And that's why I say, if you've not played the game before and you just want to meet some people and play some games of SFB, this is what it's about. It's very casual, very casual. And we've done things like the thematic weeks to help with that, to bring a bit of flavour, bring a bit of fun, and just make it a little bit different. So thank you, Stu, for jumping on board.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Absolutely a pleasure, always.
Pleasant all the information and all the theme. And I don't know if there's any other questions before we close the stream out. I don't think I've forgotten anything. No, I thought about it.
I would hope not.
Believe it or not, this was not scripted one bit from either.
Not even a second.
So this is a complete on the fly. So I probably have forgotten something really important I wanted to say, but I don't think there is. I'll put the. I
can always come back if there's and ask for it. I can come back.
To be honest, what I'm actually thinking, Stu, and I haven't asked you this, but every Sunday I'm thinking of doing like a little live stream of the update of the week and then the reveal of the next week's theme.
Oh,
that's
I can maybe do that. I can maybe do that.
But I thought
we'll talk about it. Yeah. We can definitely talk about that. That's not I have a wife and kids who will may want to beat me with a stick if I keep spending more time in this room. but I think that's doable. I think
It's a possibility. Anyway, it's a possibility. But
I would say
one thing's for certain.
Definitely fortnightly.
You will be doing the stories for each week, so you're
For
definitely
sure.
going to be involved on all that. So
yep. And you potentially meet me in the arena and kick my ass.
Yeah,
so I have signed up to this as well. So.
Yeah, and I am joining as well. So you've beat lots of people have beat me before the first season, so they can do it again. But whatever it might be. Was there any questions from anyone before we finish the stream? I've realised that we're about 30 seconds behind, so we might have to have a pause for 30 seconds while we have a little wait. Other than that, as I say, I'll chuck the Discord link in the description below.
For sure.
I'll be posting it everywhere anyway, on Facebook, on Discord, everywhere anyway. So enabling as many people as possible to jump in, which will just make it, especially you people in the Americas. We've got 2 people from the whole of America, Canada, South America, and no one from Australia or New Zealand. So just put it out there.
It's because the stream's upside down there, so it doesn't. We just love.
That's right, and we say colour wrong or spell it wrong.
Yeah,
So this is a big plea. If there are, and I know there are, for those of you that play SFB, Australia, New Zealand, Asia. Well, everywhere, obviously, but in particular,
around the world, just to make it more like a World Cup, because that's what I really want to do. I want to get an Americas group, so that the winners of those groups will come and play against some of the European. So we pretty much exclusively got European at the moment. What I also want to do is have the groups at different time zones to suit those people playing in those countries, because. I mean, big thanks to Lord Robbie I think he's signed on again for League 2, and Artemis, I want to say, who were both from Canada, one from the US. So obviously having to manage the time difference to European, but they all played every game, and that was, if you want a little bit of a testament, everyone played every single game. Not one game was missed through the whole of season 1. So that just shows you how casual it is and how friendly and helpful all the players are in the community. So if you're worried about the fact of I've not played it competitively, I'll be out my depth and all that, don't worry. It's not about that. It's about playing games and joining the community. So absolutely,
that's the plea. So can we have please some Americans, some Canadians, some South Americans join the group and join the league and get that going.
Bring a friend. Bring friends.
No questions, but Tawny sounds a lot of fun. Thanks for organising. No worry, Andrew. Of course, that's fine. No, Andrew as well, through the Mythic Games ambassadors in the past. Good to see you on here, Andrew. Val, this great stream. Thank you both. No problem at all. And thank you, Stu.
Pleasure.
Thank you, Stu, for giving us the massive insights into the characters. I mean,
I'm happy to come back whenever you want me. I can talk about this stuff till the cows come home, until someone stops me from doing it. So
I ain't gonna stop you. So I'm sure we'll do more of this as we go through. And what we might do is do a little bit of well, we'll see. Like I said, I don't want to put any commitments on now because
we can talk after this for sure. We will. Exactly. I think we can sort something out. I would love to be a face of the community.
You are. I didn't freeze frame. I needed that. Right, photo taken. Perfect.
There you go.
Superb. Right. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thanks, Stu, for joining. And I look forward, and I'm sure Stu will as well, to meeting a few of you on the round 2 of the online league. And so until next time, keep brawling, guys, and we'll see you in the league.